economic flux, de-dollarization. So now, we are literally living in a world which is characterized by rapid, unpredictable, paradoxical, and tangle. You have all of it in one go, right? It's a package for all of us. And in the middle of all these things, all of us are trying to kind of shape the future of our business. Not only our business, we are trying to shape the future of our lives. So that's the kind of a situation that we are in. So the new mantra today is continuous preparation, and I added this new extra fitting to that, is periodic recalibration. This calibration and recalibration of business probably is new to many of the business entrepreneurs today, right? So that's something that we are going to see. And I'm close to 3 years' time frame. I call myself as a student of geopolitics. Everybody must be a student of geopolitics, whether you like it or not, because it impacts your lives, personal lives, right? So watch people who make news in the world. I saw this great Indian story evolving, and I said, this story is very relevant to every entrepreneur, and that's where this whole topic came in. Why should entrepreneurs study India's approach? Because it is today the best of the master classes that can be available in the world for strategic recalibration in an uncertain or a turbulent world that we are living in. So India, if you see, it is not what it is today. It did not happen overnight. It has been a decade, 10 to 15 years of preparation in terms of building capabilities, infrastructure, as well as institutional frameworks. And India also did something very smart. It said reciprocity. It adopted reciprocity as its philosophy. Equal partnership in any strategic arrangements. So no big boss or the subordinate kind of an attitude. When we grew, we said non-aligned movement. I do not know how many of you still remember. It's now in the history books, looks like, right? So we moved from non-aligned movement to multi-alignment. It appears to be today as a magic. How did all these things happen? Unless otherwise there has been a consistent effort in terms of how India moved, right? So now your dilemma today is, what do I do? How do I lead when the rules are changing in almost all directions, right? Engagements are changing, constantly changing. It could be in the form of unpredictable shocks that we have, fragmented markets, multipolar competition in all forms, and the earlier slide that I was sharing. It is too many forces that are applying, and that is a kind of a dilemma that we are in. So these two things appear to be two different stories, but I just put an and. I'm very fascinated by this ampersand. And that's where, if you have seen yesterday, during my book launch, there is one book called What is Your And? And this and is a phenomenal character in English, which keeps fascinating me. So I just did I tried to combine these two things, and I saw that we can actually bring about a kind of a playbook, India playbook, which is pretty much applicable to our day-to-day business lives. So I picked up some 8 fundamental principles or 8 strategic anchors from where CEOs, entrepreneurs can learn great amount of lesson. Number 1, reciprocity, right? From compliance to equality is a huge shift that India made. And even today, there are some very strong countries are finding it difficult to actually practice equality. And we have seen it in the last couple of weeks' time frame. You know what I'm referring to. So moving from compliance to equality, India said no one-sided deal. From March or April, I think so. We are now in November. Still the status quo remains. No one-sided deal. Let's take weeks. Let's take months. And the business lesson for all of us is reciprocity always sustains great relationship and great partnerships, right? So do we have an example? Of course, Microsoft, Adobe, they have already shown how that reciprocity can be practiced. And when it comes to an India example, we have seen Infosys moving from just being a vendor 25 years before to becoming a transformation partner today. And that's a great story of Infosys that we all can see. So I'm going to take all these 8 anchors to show you what it is, what India says, how it is relevant to us, and also pick up a global example and a local example to make life understanding much easier and deliver some clarity on that. So the second one is multi-alignment, engage many subordinating to none, and India says partner with all. Very beautiful. Whichever country, including BRICS, right? And we have a great relationship across board. And that's where entrepreneurs must understand and learn that diversify your alliances, build ecosystems, avoid dependency. And if you pull your data, you will always see, sometimes I've seen in many organizations, one salesperson could be contributing to 60 to 70% of your revenue problem, right? One brand, one product, some way or the other, there is a great amount of dominance. That is your syllabus for you to go and then de-risk. Some of you must know we are all in ICT. There were companies which depended on one model of HP, right? HP 4L, 5L, right? Am I right? And there was another famous model called LQ Epson 2070. 60 to 70% of the revenue depended on one model, not even one brand or one person and so on, right? So it is extremely important for us to de-risk. Of course, examples of Tesla and Cisco are great examples. If you look at it from an India point of view, I think it's Jio, it's coming up. Yeah, Jio said partner with everybody, Google, Meta, Microsoft, everybody, completely de-risked kind of an approach that what they did. Point number 3 is sovereignty. And from a sovereignty point of view, still I have this problem, yeah. For India, there are countries for whom sovereignty is negotiable. I can understand, I can see what, you can imagine which country am I referring to, but for us, it's absolutely non-negotiable. Let it take months or years, sovereignty is not negotiable. So from that, for businesses, protect your differentiator. Then you may ask me, what is my differentiator? That's something that you need to figure out. It could be your IP, it could be your culture, it could be your data strength, it could be your people. Now, people actually, for many organizations, comes at the last. That's a great example. I'll come to that example. So for Apple, if you see, no way, never Apple licensed the iOS. And that's why it's a cult brand, right? So when we come to TCS, also they had their core and they are still the leaders when it comes to BFSI segment, right? So don't outsource your crown jewel. First make one for you and then don't outsource it. In ChatGPT language, where I do a lot of master classes on Gen AI, I tell them, my audience, one thing: don't outsource your thinking to ChatGPT, right? Today, most of us, 99% of us, try to outsource our thinking to ChatGPT, and then we have great examples that we have seen in the last few months' time frame. Big names rolling just because they outsource their thinking to ChatGPT. Coalition over dominance. India's approach is coalition is far greater and far stronger than dominance. So build your value networks from a business point of view, not empires, not hierarchies. Today, hierarchies will fail even in organizations from a HR perspective, right? Bring in the Gen Z, they will tell you. The millennial already gave an alarm earlier, but the Gen Z will tell right on the face, right? So hierarchies is not tenable even in organizations, leave alone outside, right? So global examples we can see, an Airtel, I mean, you can't fight Jio, right? So what they did, they just went on forming coalition with banks, fintechs, and so on. So coalition brings a great deal of multiple capabilities. So that's, again, a pretty important anchor. When it comes to leadership, India has been trying on that front for a long time frame. Respect and reliability are the two new currencies, right? While we have seen from the Second World War, we have seen the last few decades' time frame, dominance was the currency, and that is why we have one currency dominating the entire world. Probably that's going to be, there's a correction on that. So it is respect and reliability are your premium differentiation. So what do we learn? Trust, right? Trust, dominance. Yesterday, if you have seen my book launch, this is another example. I did not add it into the book. Dominance is linear, trust is circular, right? So trust is great. You can't just buy trust. It has to come. It's a two-way approach. So again, when it comes to trust, close your eyes, Toyota, right? That is built on trust. And from India example, this is something that I have heard in global forums also. It's so nice to listen people quoting HCL Tech. One company had the guts to say, when the world has been saying, customer first, customer is the king. And everybody bought that story. HCL said, no, employee is the king, employee first, customer next. And that requires a whole lot of guts to say that, and hats off to HCL Tech, who made this a reality. Preparation over panic. So India, whatever we are talking about India, it has been, as I said, it's over a period of time, it's decades of preparation. And if we talk about this often used word called resilience, it is not available anywhere for you to buy, even with the $1 million. So resilience has to be built, and that has to be built before crisis. So those companies who thrive in crisis, they were all preparing during the calm time frame. So when things are calm, you have to work a lot, right, to build that resilience. Don't try to build the resilience during the crisis. That is not going to happen, right? So India also showed one thing, from being a perpetual buyer to becoming a market, and further to also becoming a competitor. In defense terms, you all know how we became from a buyer from Russia to actually becoming a competitor, right? And in the space arena also. So that's again a great lesson for entrepreneurs. Build your autonomy. Don't outsource your future to anybody else. So India example, and this is a great example, Zoho. I do not know if anybody from Zoho is here. I would actually salute to them, because wherever you go, whether I travel to Saudi Arabia or Cairo, I can see Zoho right in the airport itself. And this is something we thought only Google and Microsoft can do, right? We have Zoho as a great example in terms of building that autonomy, and that's something that we can follow. And finally, eighth anchor is silent strength is far more than noisy reaction. So if you want to picturize this, I was trying to picturize the silent strength and noisy reaction. We have one lean man, 5 feet 7 inches, going all over the world, right? Probably weighing 70 kgs. And there's another man who probably is 6 feet plus and going all over the world. And that's nicely saying the silent strength. India says calm, firm, and measured. And you can see that across any of the YouTube that you can actually see them. And that's extremely important, and that's what Samsung did. And that's what Netflix also did from a global example point of view, and Infosys did at the same time as a local example. Leadership means today, the definition of leadership has changed. It is all about constant recalibration is going to be the new norm for leadership in organizations, and for that matter, everywhere. So, my dear friends, the great recalibration begins with mastering these 8 anchors, right? So for me, if I will move to the part 2 and also share something on ICT leaders, what kind of an action framework that we can have, framework, doctrines, and checklists. That's a shorter part of my presentation. We leave our car, when you buy a car, they say, okay, every 10,000 kilometers, major service, and probably, I do not know, every 2,000 or 3,000 kilometers, minor service, right? So probably that kind of a scenario is seen to be applying here. Calibrate your business every 3 years' time frame. And the next question is, how often I should do the minor service? I wouldn't say quarterly, I wouldn't say monthly. Wake up. Do you see a reason? You probably will find a reason for calibration, right? So take that opportunity to calibrate. Calibration is periodic, or calibration is any time that certain things happen in the world. The art of recalibration is going to be the art of leadership, and that's precisely where businesses and leaders must be moving. IBM does that, Unilever does that, Reliance and Infosys are great examples who actually carry out this calibration and recalibration every 2 years or 3 years time frame. That's a great character to follow in our business. I think if I move that side, yeah, okay. From a channel point of view, shifting from a vendor dependency to partner autonomy is again another important part in your syllabus. Customers today have options, vendors have options, distributors must calibrate business models to thrive in this kind of an environment. You are our own friends. You call it Ingram, Tech Data, All of them have done this. Reddington for me is a great example because I've seen Reddington for the last 33 years as time frame, ever since I was in Dubai, from a small shop in one corner, and today what Reddington is, and then how they constantly calibrated their business purely from a box pusher to logistics fulfillment capability entity, moving beyond into what you call as services and cloud orchestration. Today, Reddington is a huge giant, but he started from somewhere else. But constant recalibration. I have had the opportunity to be close to the leaderships at different points in time in the last 3 decades time frame. A great example of what I mean by recalibration. Prepare early, calibrate often. That's very important in every business that we do. India always defended its sovereignty. Talent, no matter what, all other things can be your sovereignty, but the one thing, if at all you have to put your finger, will be and must be your talent. Talent is every organization's sovereignty. Right? It's talent equal to sovereignty. So tech partnerships must be reciprocal, same as what India demands reciprocity in its diplomacy. And there's a shift that has to happen. From a tech partnership point of view, Zoho is the great example that I can think of. Coalition is much stronger than competition that we saw earlier. This is my checklist summarizing all the anchors and drawn from India's playbook and mapped into business. Important thing is calibration is not an option, right? Calibration is mandatory for every organization. It is the core of leadership. All what we have learned and the success that has taken you all through these 10 years, 15 years, 20 years is not the recipe that will take you for the next 5 years as time frame, because we are living in a world that is characterized by rapid, unpredictable, paradoxical, and tangled kind of a situation. So calibration is the most critical thing. Ladies and gentlemen, thrive by recalibrating, not just by surviving disruptions, because you can't survive disruption because that is the norm. Disruption is the normal, right? So how many disruptions you will try and attempt to keep on surviving them, it's not going to be possible. So recalibration must be the mantra for all the organizations to stay relevant itself. Thank you very much, and Jai Hind. Thanks,
Sazu, thank you. It's an inspiring kickoff, and I think it's an inspiring kickoff, and I think it relates very well to the message that carries throughout the event, is that right here, right now, there is big opportunity and big transformation in the India market.
Exactly, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
So far, we have the technical aspects pretty well in hand. I'm receiving messages as I stand off stage that the traffic conditions are pretty extreme in Chennai this morning. We have a number of the shuttle buses that are held up. They will be making their way to the event as quickly as possible. Like I said, there are 2 things we can't control, Chennai weather and Chennai traffic, but we do our best. Up next is Fortinet. They have an opportunity to present in a keynote session some of their views on the trends, directions, and opportunities in the marketplace. Are you ready for us? Your microphone works?
Oh,
Your screen works?
Thank you.
Fingers crossed?
I think it's coming up.
I won't leave you until it's working.
It's done. Good.
All right.
Thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, one more time from Fortinet, please give a warm welcome to Jason Charles, if you would please.
Thank you. And good morning. Are you with me? Yeah, thank you. I think it's a long day yesterday, and then we started a little bit late, and I'm going to be pressing the next 15 minutes what's our vision on AI, ML, and how networking and security comes together. This is probably many people could have not heard. Beyond the security part of what Fortinet does, many people knows us as a I still remember those days, probably 14 years back when I joined Fortinet. I asked for Fortinet, went to Fortinet office and asked, is this Fortinet office? They said no. I saw the board outside, but then they said this is FortiGate office. That's one of our solutions, right? So what Mr. Vasu said made a lot of sense. No, we after that recalibrated ourselves and then moved on to introduce another 60 different technologies, which has taken us way beyond what we were. Talking about that, few of the things. Our ground is security, and we built it from there. And that is where FortiGate, FortiGuard services took us from a humble beginning in 2000 to where we are in 2005. Probably we are the number one product company in the world from security perspective. We are number one in product shipping, hardware shipping worldwide. About 60 to 70% of the hardware worldwide is shipped from Fortinet. And then we have the most deployed. We have the big real estate in terms of security and networking deployments worldwide. And then we have the biggest thing that I always talk about is our growth. Globally, we've been growing 15%. India is way ahead of the curve. And we are doing about $450 million in terms of TAM. So that's what we address. India is very big. We are about 800 people in India, having about 250 in the sales and rest in the R&D. And the global tech is based out of India as well. So that's how we are positioned in India. And the AI journey has been very long for us. We've been talking about AI the last 15 years when we first came against big data and other things, where we came out with our AML protection with FortiGuard. And in 2022, when we spoke about Gen AI, then we came out with our answer saying AI Assist. We won with the protocols which supported that for knock and sock with our SIMSOAR, EDR solutions that we had. Then today it's become like agentic AI, where we have gone full-fledged. So today probably 40 different solutions that we have, including the solution that I represent, the networking, has got AI/ML capabilities which can self-heal themselves, troubleshoot and do automation for partners as well as customers. So that's our journey. Just to give you a highlight, the last 12 years we got 500 patents on AI/ML, specifically on different solution stack. And we have been a technology company. Fortinet has never been a product company. We always insisted on technology. Today, if you look at this screen, 1,064 patents worldwide. We have India has filed about close to 10 patents from India itself. We have the privilege as employees to file patents. Fortinet encourages that. And we have put it in various pillars as well. If you look at the side here on the left, my left side, you can see secure networking takes a big one. AI is growing. And the rest of the things are following. So these are the core things. Specifically, SASE has been our big investment for the country as well. So one of the key challenges that today partners face is the long cycle. Whenever we talk to partners, hey, why are you just trying to get small deals? No, the sales cycle kills the operational cost. And you don't know who's your competition, who's going to ditch whom, and who's going to marry with you for the deal as you move forward. So that is something which is really killing for partners. And I've been on both sides of the table, and I understand that. And today, the challenge that we have is how to manage the deal, how to go deep. How do I make my bottom? I don't think anybody is here to do charity. Any partner is here to do charity. Everybody wants gross margin. And I strongly believe in that. And how do you increase that? And the threat complexity, I was talking to one gentleman yesterday, my team left. The churn of people, talent, retention has become another big nightmare for partners. And we also face that. As OEMs, we also face that the Gen Z, they call them, the millennials, whose focus is absolutely distorted. I see a lot of senior people here, and you can understand and relate with me. Very difficult to keep their attention. So that's a big attention deficit that we have. So keep them focused, give them a lot of interesting things, make them engaged in the process. That is where it's going to help us save and increase your bottom line and increase. So how do we do that? So the goal has to be, how we do that. So shortening sales skills means you have very pointed focus. So today, what we see, I'm on the field most of the time with our sales team and our partners across the country and the region. One thing we see, the loyalty is not there. Either with the OEM, partners complain the OEM complain the partners, right? So when the customer says Fortinet, everybody goes behind Fortinet. What is my value? What value I take to the customer is very important. So from a security perspective, Fortinet, I always say, build beyond the FortiGate security platform, which gives you a lot of visibility. And today, I was talking to somebody in the morning. I was saying nobody is married to any vendor. Correct. So today you see the right fit, take the consultative approach and then, talk to the customer. That gives you confidence, better support, and then gives you visibility into the account. And today you cannot just stick to one solution and say, hey, I am the master of that, and that's not going to take you long. Today, competition will come from any direction and take you down. So manage fewer vendors, niche technologies are coming. AI is going to be the future. It's not going to go away. It's going to stick to us. And AI everywhere. And it's nothing to panic. That's what I've learned in the last few years. It's been with us, probably it's renamed old wine in new bottle, and we just need to get used to that, as simple as that. So that helps you reduce sales cycle, sorry, and increase better bottom lines. And bottom lines means you can invest back into your team, your technologies and other things, gives you better confidence when you go stand before customer. So talking about that, the biggest challenge today with the enterprise partners, we go behind the enterprise, SME, the opportunities are there. Like Fortinet has got 5 different verticals. Like we have a very large enterprise vertical. We have a public sector, emerging commercial, in a nutshell, and telco business. I see business equally spread across everything. It depends on how we look at. 3 years back when we went verticalization, we were so worried. We have a stable business which is running. Do we really rock the boat? And we never rocked the boat. It was actually in good faith. I think we grew by 40+% in India. And many times partners just stick to one solution. From a Fortinet perspective, it's like people cling on to the security thing and I don't want to do anything beyond that. That means you're missing something greater beyond the comfort zone, right? If you see an iceberg, it's 1/10 above the water. There's so much of potential beyond that which you are not scratching the thing beyond the surface of the requirements or with the customers. As you grow closer to customer, as you get into other technologies, right? It's not just selling a solution and just walking away. You expand your roots into the customer and then give him the comfort and confidence that this is a partner. You should not even look as you as a trader. You should look as your partner as you move forward. So that's very important that we move forward. Talking about that, Fortinet possibly has got a wide range of product line. We have just segmented into 3 different pillars. Secure networking is our security plus access, which is firewalls, networking solutions. That is what I'm going to introduce today. Then we have unified SASE, which is our cloud edge security platforms. Then we have SecOps, which is everything, SIM-SOAR, EDR, NDR. We have the gamut of products there. Many people might not even have heard about that Fortinet has got so many solutions beyond the firewall. So that is exactly what we want to introduce to you, saying wherever you have sold our solutions, FortiGate, there is a huge potential of building on top of that and making more business out there. And these are all niche products, so the bottom lines are pretty decent. And these are service dependent. All these service solutions, right from this. FortiGate is definitely service dependent. I'm not saying it is not, but these can add more value. Like when you talk about SecOps, SASE, and you're talking about AI/ML capabilities, right? These will add more and more services. Services is good bottom line. We have a services division, a product company having a professional services team, which is bottom line for us. Helps us run the company smoothly, right? So everybody at every level looks at bottom line, and that is very important. And talking about that, so I'm going to talk about AI-powered networking. So gone are the days we sell L2 switches, cabling, and routers. Things have now changed. The entire story is like the market is actually diversifying. I have not met in any organization where you go and say, hey, I have a networking division, I have a security. It's all now combined. There is a single team which manages that. And many times networking partners run away saying, oh, security is complex. And it works the vice versa as well. Security partners run away saying networking is complex. So it is not. I've come from the other side, networking to security, so I can vouch for that. The gap is actually, it's not 40-60. It's already like 55+ is secure networking. I hardly see standalone networking deals that I address today with customers. Today, everything is seamlessly integrated. And Fortinet specifically, right, is one vendor today. We are on multiple Gartner's leaders quadrant. And if you see, we've been on the firewall for the last decade plus. SD-WAN, we came in, the moment SD-WAN kicked in, the 5-6 years we've been there. We became Gartner's leaders quadrant for the wired wireless last year. That was a big thing for us because we have the Ciscos and the HPs of the world who've been pioneering this technology for decades. And then, we are talking about single vendor SASE and SASE Edge. We are there. So one of the underlying thing for all these things is 40 OS, which is our DNA, because that makes our security the DNA for our solution. And that is where we are building it up. So I always say we're coming L7 down, whereas networking people come L2 and up. So we are taking the other route. And one of the good things that we always came across is we are in Gartner's leaders. One of the reasons some of the big names, probably it's not clear, some of the big names are not there in the leaders is the ability to unify security and networking. All these vendors are parallel lines. They are running security separate practice, networking separate practice. But if you look at, for us, it is one. Today, it is all emerged together. And we've been customer's choice for the last 7 years. And these are all public data, you can check. Our use cases are very different. We have wireless, then we have SD campus, SD branch, OT as a service. Today, OT business for us is booming. Some of the large projects and deals which come for us is from OT. We have data center solutions as well. We have recently acquired a company, I'm going to talk about that as we move forward, which talks about high density wireless, which is very important. A large arena like this should have probably tens of APs. We can probably achieve this with few 4 or 5 access points. And micro branch, like a lot of these kiosks are coming, like Naika, or you talk about Haldirams. These are some of the micro branches that we talk about. And today we have these smart companies like Big Basket who deliver before you think. They know what you're thinking and they can deliver, right? So their algorithms have become so complex and stuff like that. So those are our sweet spots. When we talk about secure LAN or secure networking, we don't talk about the number of RJ45 ports or 1 gig, 10 gig. We really don't talk about that. We talk about something very different. How much visibility I have in my network? Because switches have switched 24 ports, switch got 24 ports. It really doesn't matter. How secure is my infrastructure? How easy is it to scale without compromising on performance and security? How easy it is to manage and then automate? When I say automate, it is basically AML capabilities where you can seamlessly manage, set SLAs for the network, give customer experience. And the other biggest challenge is, look at this campus. It's like in multiple acres, right? Tomorrow, one AP doesn't work in one place. How many places you will go check? We have a tool which can say, hey, building C, floor number 7, auditorium, corner left, one AP is not working. So we can go to that extent and do mitigation as well. So being core as, for FortiGate being OS the core, FortiGate services, we built on that. So if you look at our solution itself is built, our switching and wireless and visibility, that is NAC and OT solutions are built on this OS. It's seamlessly integrated. That doesn't mean that, I would borrow the word from Vasu, we have not calibrated to work with competition. Fortinet always believes in open standards. We are a multi-vendor, we believe in multi-vendor. I cannot just walk into Akan and say, sir, please forklift everything and put Fortinet. They're going to throw me out. So it's not going to happen. We seamlessly integrate with existing solutions and provide security to them. So we are present in all the different 4 use cases that any customers would have. So yesterday, if you have heard, my colleague spoke about traditional networking versus secure networking. Traditional networking talks about just policies within ports and stuff like that. Today, we are talking about zero trust deployment on networks. Whether you might say, hey, my customers are SMB customers. I don't have people beyond 50 users, 100 users. We do have competitive solutions which we can offer at a competitive price as well as the needs that they have. Some of the basic things like, can a SMB customer afford a NAC solution? Normally, we feel it's so expensive. So we have taken all the NAC capabilities, the basic capabilities, and put them on our FortiGate itself. It's at no cost. It is already inbuilt into our FortiOS. We call it FortiLink NAC, and then we can provide that as well. So any FortiGate that you have got all these capabilities which can be done without any license. The only license that you need to buy is FortiGuard services. We have ensured that all these things are built into all our APs. So this is our architecture. So if you understand this slide, probably everything is understood. My presentation is done. So I'm not going to stop though. So So you have a 40 gate, any customer will have a switch requirement, and then, if you look at it, if it's a 40 switch, then this becomes a virtual domain. So all the policies on the firewall can be configured on a 40 switch. So easy to understand is you take a 40F, which is a 8-port firewall. If the customer wants another 24 port, add another 24 port 40net switch, the whole thing becomes a 32 port firewall. Like that, you can add about 300 switches to a 40 gate, depending on the model, not with 40F for sure. 40F can do 18 switches. That's the entry-level product that we have. And it can support 18 APs also. Those are all at no extra cost. Fortinet also got IP phones, CCTV cameras. Just keep it in your mind, but I'm not going to talk about them today. So we also have a SASE solution. We have a hosted cloud in India. We have 2 data centers owned by Fortinet, more coming in, and we also have our virtual data centers across the country. You can now use our switch and AP for managing the SASE cloud as well. So talking about the SD branch solution, right? So today, that is the hottest product. Probably I can say 80-85% of India distributed retail business is with us. We're happy to say, thanks to our partners who have made it happen. Today, when you talk about SD branch, what are the use cases that we have with SD branch? So multiple links managing a central location, right? So today, customers have more than one link. You can't have just 2 links and 1 link redundant. Today, we optimize it to provide maximum throughput and connectivity across. So we give a single pane of glass. When you use our 40 SD-WAN solution, you get security, all the visibility across the thing. Using 40 link as a solution, you can get access to the devices connected beyond the SD-WAN appliance as well. So if you have a 40 switch, you get seamless single dashboard like you get it from our 40 gate. But if you are not using 40 net products, it could be Cisco, HP, Aruba, AP, whatever it could be. So we can still do that. We have other solutions we're going to talk about. Today, we can give you a single pane of glass of visibility, providing you centralized configuration management. The other beautiful solution that we have is 40 deploy as a service. We recently completed Central Bank of India. 5,000 branches, I think it's 8,000 branches across the country. Can you send people to some place where there is no truck and do it? So what we do, we use 40 deploy as a service, ship the device to that location. That today electricians can connect RJ45 cables. Somebody connects, powers on. 40 deploy using 40 manager can auto discover the product, push the configuration centrally. So Big Basket is another example. 2,000 branches in three months we had to do. 5 IT guys, impossible to do. We did it through 40 deploy as a service. So today, multi-site, we don't care. So today, as we speak, we are deploying another 4,000 sites for another financial organization. So we have proven track record that this can be done without any problem. So SD branches is another one. Another thing is our 5G routers for remote connectivity. We have customers who have depots in remote places. There will be one guard who will have one PC for just scanning his outpass. We have 5G routers which can work on private and public, and it can be a backup connectivity for our SD-WAN as well. We have vehicle tracking systems and other things which are connected to Google Cloud, so we can monitor, put cameras on buses, trucks, access control and everything. So we also have a cloud offering which can manage our wired wireless solutions. It seamlessly integrates with our entire ecosystem. We have a cloud hosted in India as well. So we also have a multi-tenant option. So we can talk about that. If you need more detail, we are at the stall. We'll be able to gladly, I don't know what happened. So we can gladly show that. Yeah. So give me a sec. So I think something went wrong. So no. Just I think I pressed the wrong button. Yeah. Sorry. So I think something went wrong. We've been having some challenge here from yesterday. It was going smooth so far, but something just conked off anyway. Just give me a minute, so I'll be back on track, so nothing to worry. Here we go. Yeah, sorry about the glitch. So we also have our wired wireless. We recently launched our Wi-Fi 7 products in India, though the 6 gigahertz is not enabled for the telco, so we do have the Wi-Fi 7. Once the government allows us, we'll enable it using a software key. Today, we have probably 40 different models supporting from SMB to a large enterprise to complicated deployments as well. One of the use cases that we have is like, if you look at competition right here, you have the license for AP and advanced services. For Fortinet, you don't need to have any license. It's already built into the controller. The controller is nothing but our FortiGate appliances. So today, if you have a FortiGate, or if you have sold a FortiGate to your customer, today you already sold a wired wireless controller to your customer or a SD-WAN appliance to your customer. So you can always go and upsell onto that. And Everest is one of our new acquisitions this year. This product is exclusively for high density. I just spoke about this starting of my presentation. So if you want to have how many of you follow cricket here? Almost everyone, right? So if you look at the Dharmashala IPL, which recently happened, we did a trial run there. For about 50,000 users, we ran with about 6 access points. So high density deployment, high availability. This basically, the Indian Cricket Board is trying for some app where you can see the replays, order food in your stand, everything using those wireless devices. So we are going to run a test for a couple of more stadiums as we talk. So that is one. So we use a different technology from the industry. Industry uses multiple APs, multiple radios. So we use something called Spotlight. That's a new technology that we have. We have patented it on Fortinet. It's with us. So Spotlight is a technology where the APs, radios can be adjusted based on the requirement. So using software, we can change the direction, focus of the AP, and you can provide high density support. So our AML story is new. Last 3 years, we've been talking about this. Our AI is learning. So the product basically does give you the capability to do set SLAs for your wired, wireless, SD-WAN, or your connectivity. So today you can set SLAs using this. It can also identify. So for example, if you look at, this is one of the dashboards that we have. So you can see the wireless, let's say there are 4 access points in this hall and one AP fails. So one AP fails. This AP can dynamically extend the wireless signal to the other AP and then, try troubleshooting. Whether FortiGate has got an inbuilt cable tester, it will check the cable, it will check the power, it will check whether the AP is down because of some OS issue or any authentication issue. And then if it 100% knows it's a product dead, then it sends a trigger to the respective guy's email, message. We can integrate with anything. So today you can do all that using, it will give you full visibility of what is going on in the network. And it reduces the time for troubleshooting and enhances customer experience. Today, the biggest irritation for customer is something goes on, he wants it fixed magically. And as partners, we know it's impossible because you need to find the root cause and fix it once for all. And it's got a lot of capabilities to add the infra details into it. It's wired, wireless, or any other thing. And you can also do rogue AP direction, everything through this, and you can do that. So you can give you all reports. I'm just running because of time. FortiNAC is another interesting product which gives you visibility, control, and automation or remediation for non-Fortinet solutions. So I was talking the SD branch thing where, what if you are not using Fortinet solution beyond the firewall? What if the customer says, hey, I'm happy with what I have, but I want all these features that Fortinet talks about. Yes, that is where FortiNAC comes in. We have 6 different modules in that. One is inventory management. So what is there? IT, OT devices can be, you can get full inventory of what is there in the network, whether it's IT, OT. The other new thing that is coming is micro-segmentation. Micro-segment, specifically in the manufacturing side, people talk about micro-segmentation where they want traditional networking overlapping with the overriding LAN. Then we are talking about compliance. That's another thing. How do I enforce policies, whether it's corporate or it could be, right, PCI compliance. Today, RBI, if it's a FSI, RBI puts in a lot of compliance for banking and finance sector. If it's manufacturing, the OEM guys set certain policies. How do I enforce them on corporate and non-corporate devices, right? Then we are talking about zero trust. That's become the norm. The first time I heard this, I was like, what is zero trust? I know zero touch, but not zero trust. This was a few years back. Then I realized today we do it every time. Though I am connected to Fortinet's corporate network, every time I log into my Salesforce or my ERP, I need to authenticate myself with two-factor authentication. So trust no one, trust nothing. So that's the approach today we take because the cost of lapse is phenomenal. And that is one thing we can do. We can do onboarding, BYOD. Some of our competing products says BYOD, onboarding, guest management is NAC. Some say authentication is NAC, but this is true NAC. Today we can do that. And we can automate all these things, integrate with the existing AV, take endpoint security, integrated, quarantine, patch management. We can do a gamut of things. And the other beautiful thing is it seamlessly works with our entire Fortinet ecosystem. And we also work with 106 different vendors with more than 3,000 plus devices. Another uniqueness that we bring is we have about 26 different posture controls. All this is coming with a standard, and we have a gamut of ecosystem partners. We have kept the solution as open as possible. And today, if you look at, right, you might see some of the old and new products in India. We seamlessly integrate with all these solutions. Today, we have probably 3,670 models that we have integration. And I don't know if competition, when they talk about their own NACs, they don't integrate with some of their own flagship products. Today, we do seamlessly integrate and provide a thing for that. This is just a graphical representation of how our solution works. I'm going to take a minute to show that to you. So you buy a Fortinet, FortiGate appliance, then you connect it to the internet, then you connect 40 switches to it. Then, you double click into the console, your entire data center with all the things. So you just double click. This is the logical diagram. You go to manage switch tab. All FortiGates have got. You can just go click on that and see. You get a logical diagram. You get a physical diagram. If there are any loops, it automatically mitigates. You can also click on the ports and see what's happening on the port. It's a fantastic tool inbuilt. You can also go to the wireless dashboard, put in the office layout, and then you can do the same thing there as well. I'm going to show you how the wireless dashboard looks. So when you have wireless and devices, so this is the dashboard. It's a screenshot from one of the devices. How many APs are there, how many radios are active, how many clients. It also gives you RF health. Tomorrow, if somebody is trying to do mitigation from outside using RF, we can do all that as well. So this gives you seamless visibility of what's going on in the network. And for this, there's no license that you need to buy. FortiOS has got everything inbuilt day one. So if you have sold a FortiGate or if you're using a FortiGate, all that I spoke is at no cost except the FortiGuard services. So why customers look at us? Convergence of networking and security, simplified operations because you just do it from FortiGate console. And the biggest benefit to them is lower TCO. That gives you the opportunity to sell services because customer cannot manage and monitor and do all these things. So services is big money today, and you can probably sell these services to them. We have other services as well to talk about. So always look beyond the comfort zone. Look beneath the solutions that you sell, specifically Fortinet. Look beyond the firewall. Look beyond the solutions that we have, and look beyond the capabilities that you have. Try to monetize that. We always need to recalibrate ourselves to be very competitive in the market. Thank you so much.
Jason, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry about the glitch.
That's okay.
One more time, thank you to Jason and the Fortinet team for being part of the event, for sharing their insight, experience, and understanding of the trends and directions and opportunities in the marketplace. At this point, we're going to make a quick switch on the stage. We're going to bring back the furniture because in just a moment, we're going to start another panel discussion. When you talk, and as a common theme here at the event, when you talk about India's growth and the rise of Make in India, the brands, the executives, you can't help but recognize that what is fueling that incredible growth is probably India's most valuable resource, right? It's people, the human resources, right? This is what's really making the future happen. And when you walk around the IITM Research Park and when you walk around IIT Madras campus, you also can't help but notice that more than half of the population are women. And that's obviously going to have a very big impact on the leaders of the future, particularly in a region and especially in an industry where many of the decision makers around the table have historically been men. That is going to change. And that is the inspiration, that was the spirit for this panel discussion. It's women in tech, 25% parity, moving from representation to real impact. So what we're going to do is bring all of the speakers on stage. I would ask you to please hold your applause. No recognition, no feedback until everyone joins me on the stage. We're going to do this very quickly, simply by name and company. And if you would join me here for the start of the session. So first up, Kartik Akambaram, the co-founder and head of solutions at Avtar Group. If you would join me this way, Kartik. If you would come along the side. It's a long way up. Watch your step. Navina Swamy, the founder and chief innovation officer at Make GPT. Navina, if you would join us on stage. Come around this way, if you would, please. In the third chair, I'd like to ask Diana Roy, director of the Dream Incubator Japan. Next would be Manasi Saha, owner and founder of McCaw's Infotech. Welcome. In the next chair, I'd like to ask Jyoti Pradasingh, Director of the Global Solution Center at Societe Generale. And finally, Madhula Sathamurthy, SBU Head, Startups at IITM Global Research Foundation. So as all of our panelists get settled here on stage, you will notice there has been one substitution. Dr. Rajesh was expected to join us, but she was called away urgently on another important matter. So thankfully, Kartik, our co-founder, has agreed to step in. And you know, I think it's only appropriate that when we talk about women in tech, we have at least one voice from a gentleman, because this is something that is not a women's issue alone. This is something that we as a community, as an industry, and as a human population need to address. So, ground rules. There are none. Nope, not yet. No PowerPoint presentations, no prepared marks. It's meant to be a conversation where we share our experiences and try to get inspiration from one another. There is also an opportunity to sound off if you have comments or questions from the audience. We'll simply raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you. So now that everyone is up here on stage, equipped with a microphone, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to recognize our panelists. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hello. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I think I was just in the morning listening to a lot of technical steps, right? And I think this will be a completely different, non-technical. But what we're going to really talk about is tech, women in tech. And you see the title there, which is 25%. And how do you get to parity, right? And that is the topic of the discussion today. So we have our wonderful leaders here who are true role models and an inspiration, and have actually a very sort of, I would say, different careers in terms of as a professional, as leaders, as entrepreneurs. I think we have a very good diverse mix of leaders, and we are going to get some very interesting insights from them. One, their own personal journey as to how they have sort of evolved and grown as leaders, and insights from them as to how do we get from 25% to a gender parity in the workplace. Another important thing that we are really also going to talk about, the moment we are going to talk about gender parity is just not mere representation, right? It is beyond the representation. That's just a part of it. How do we have more women in the workplace as leaders, as entrepreneurs? But more importantly, do they have the equal say, uh, parity in decision making, parity with respect to pay? I think those are things that is going to be very, very important, critical for us beyond mere numbers. While we may talk about increasing, I think more in terms of how do we have it purely an empowering workplace for women is something that we would love to hear from. And just to quick pointers, India is one of the lowest women's workforce participation in the world, right? One of the lowest in the world. And in spite of the fact that in the last decade or so, there's been tremendous growth in terms of women educating, girls educating and graduating. And today we almost have equal number of women, if not more, women graduates. And we have specifically from a tech standpoint, we have India has the highest number of women in STEM. But in spite of that, the number says that women are close to only 25% in the tech. And that is also more in the services sector. The moment you go into niche technology, we've been hearing a lot of AI, cyber security, various the niche segment, the number of women are actually very less, right? So it's not just about the numbers, as I said, but where are they in the tech sector is another very important thing that we really need to see. And one of the reasons that the tech sector can be a sort of a role model sector and a leader in this, as opposed to any other industry. In some of the industries, we have just merely 5% in the manufacturing, engineering, 10% or 15% in the FMCG, banking, it could be around 20%. The tech industry, due to the nature of work, actually is a lot of things that we can do. And one of the things that definitely I think the tech sector can do is the gender parity. You can actually have, if you really put our thoughts to it, we can have 50-50 gender parity in the tech sector. Just because if you go to the manufacturing sector, remote working, plant locations, if you go to typically of FMCG, banking, sales, women on street, fleet on street, those are disadvantages which we really need to overcome. But tech sector is the sector which actually can show the way and actually quickly get into the gender parity. So we would really love to see how we can get that into that. One thing that we see, it can happen, is that if you're truly committed as an organization, as leaders, it can happen. Avatar works in the space of increasing women's workforce participation. And one of the things that we do as part of that is the Best Companies for Women India study. And we launched this study in 2016. And in the best companies which are invested in this, the number of women were 25%. Today, after 10 years, today the number of women in the best companies is 37%, a 12% growth we have seen. That is purely because these companies are really invested, the leaders are invested. So there is a lesson there. If you are truly intentional, invested, the change can happen, and that is something that we would love to hear from you all today, right? So without much time, I think we are already catching up on time. We also had, before the panel, we had a lot of preparation in terms of things that we really need to, so that we want to make the best use of time. So we had some very interesting questions lined up for our wonderful leaders here. Navina, the question is to you first. And I see that interesting box that you have. Do you want to show that before we actually start, please?
Sure. While I'm opening the box, I think it's very important that the questions we are discussing today are super important. We have to make tech accessible to all, especially to women, to bring them into the tech workforce. So when we designed this product, Make GPT, it was a conscious decision to democratize technology to all. The reason is we have to bridge the inclusion. Because when you look at tech and tech founders, and today we had this Fortinet discussion, right? People get scared to get into this tech. What if we made this tech so accessible that it's fun, it's playful, yet you can design the best experiments? And you touch it, you feel it, and you actually do it. So I'm going to talk about it, but I'm just going to show it just because you asked it. Thanks.
I thought it'll be good to start off with this so that we get some idea before Navina talks about the work she does.
This is Make GPT. The name itself is fun. You can actually make. And if you think of women, we've always been makers, right? So what if with just a prompt, I'm going to hold this. Yeah. And if you could just make it look simple, because I saw the previous presentation. Playful, simple, you connect it to your computer, and with a prompt, you can design any hardware in the world. And that's what Make GPT is about. And that it democratizes knowledge. It doesn't have to be super techy. And anyone, any woman, girl, they can get into the tech industry today. And that is Make GPT.
Wonderful. What is something that comes to your mind? She said makers. Women, what does it come to your mind, the first thing?
Homemakers.
Yeah?
Homemakers.
Homemakers. Right, that's what comes to our mind. Right, and here we have Make GPT, something that Navina is talking about. And on the question of these homemakers, and that is something that we're also really going to see, and organizations have to do that. We have often heard about this, something called the gender chore gap, right? Women actually have work for about 5 hours. I'm talking about the home, right? And can anybody guess the time that men spend? Anyone? At home, doing the home chores? It's 5 hours for women. Quick guess. Sorry? 3. It's 1.5 hours. And that's been a recent increase, okay? So it was much less than that. Okay, and this is not applicable just for women where women are homemakers. Today I think women are working, there are double income families, and it is applicable to where even women and both the partners are actually working.
True.
So that's one of the things that we really need to see. So just on the topic of makers. So Navina, to you the question is, you already spoke about it, right? So how do we get young women into AI, and just not about a person who is actually consuming the technology or using it, how do you actually make them creators?
Very good question. I really, it emotionally can connect with you, because I think we first need to disrupt. We've been taught that you have to get into engineering or sciences, and then you need to do a specialization in AI and ML. I think we need to stop doing that first, because AI is going to be pervasive. When we walk into a mall, the doors open, the lights turn on when you walk into a room. We see AI has been implemented way before the word ChatGPT. But if we were to make all this accessible, that people understand that AI is going to be everywhere, and make it very natural for them to start working with it, then it becomes much easier. So we did an experiment. One of the first things I want to talk about is, after disruption, access. Yesterday, I went to one of the universities here, Anna University, and I was asked to present about Make GPT. And then we realized that it took quite a challenge to get a browser to open a port and do things. I think access means, I'm glad Fortinet talked about access and making technology available. The fundamental currency for everyone to use AI today is, we need to have good Wi-Fi, have access to internet, and a good computer. And that's all you need. And that should be made accessible to all. My story begins from Chennai. I was at IIT Madras Research Park, IIT Madras doing research, and went to the US for 30 years, and I've come back. I came back to IIT Madras Research Park as Chief Innovation Officer, but then the calling was, how do we make a broader impact on society, and especially women? And where are they? So we went to tier 2 city like Madurai to start a tech firm and to enable anyone with a desire to succeed, to come on board. And my first hire was from a tier 2 college. And she always jokes, if you ask for that college name, ma'am, it doesn't exist. The college actually shut down. I mean, many colleges during COVID, they could not do well in rural areas. And she's our top AI performer today. So we gave her access during COVID. She had a job offer from HCL. They put her on bench. They were not bringing people on board. And she said, I need to take care of my family. So we just said, let's provide access. And we did an experiment during COVID, gave an office full of computers, internet, air conditioned. Madurai is very hot. And lo and behold, people came in to ideate. They began picking up knowledge, talking to people. And today we have the best team in the world in Madurai. So access is a super important thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think 2 points that we really need to talk about is the disruption and access. The reason being the workplace that we see has been built keeping men in mind for the last 50, 60 years. And we always trying to see how we can provide access to women or even say anybody for persons with disability or any other underrepresented talent, keeping that in mind, their workplace. And we still want to stick to the status quo. This is the way that we've been working for 50 years, for 60 years. This is how we have had success. And that's the thought we want to apply to give access to anybody that we want, and more so for women. That is where we are having a challenge. Unless we are going to have this disrupt and that mindset and provide access, that is going to be the path where we are going to see have more women actually entering, not just entering to the workplace, but also actually able to grow into leadership. So great points, Naveen, on that. Diana, to you, as a director of the Dream Incubator, where you are sort of building partnership between Japan and India, and I would say that Japan and India shares, I think, more or so the same kind of culture, family values, the responsibility that women have for the family, I think is more or less the same from what we know. But do you see any difference there in terms of women actually working, growing? Diana, your experiences?
Thank you for the question. I think it's a very, very interesting question, and the nuances of your question are spot on, and I will get to each of them later. We spoke about female labor force participation in your introduction. The number you said in technology in India is around 25%. In Japan, the female labor workforce participation is over 70%. It's 75%. So women who are eligible to work, 75% of them are working in Japan. In India, 25, right? There are disputed numbers, but let's go with 25 for now. And knowing, like you rightly said, the culture is very similar when it comes to who is taking care of the family, who is the primary caregiver. In both Japan and India, women are the primary caregivers. I mean, that is the culture that we come from. Why is it then? Then in Japan, you have a 75% workforce participation, and in India, only 25%. So I'm going to go into data a little deeper. If we take a look at Japan, and I'm going to, because we're all tech folks here, we understand data, I'm going to draw out a chart here, so please follow my fingers, right? So if this is the increasing age, and this is the number of women that's working, per age group, Japan sees a M-shaped curve. What does that mean? Younger women are working. There is a slight drop as they come of child-rearing age, and it picks up again. In India, yes, the base is very small, but there is no M. It is a declining slope. So we do see a lot of STEM resources. The number of women graduates are high. I have been fortunate enough to study in excellent colleges where, by biological gender, women were higher than men in terms of education. So I've been very fortunate that way. But we have to address the issue of the drop-off, right? As women get to child-rearing age, and I'm sorry, it's a very complex issue. I am going to focus on one simplistic cause of it, which is family, right? How do you get women who are mothers who have their families back into the workforce, right? And I'm going to talk about some measures Japan has taken that have proven to be successful that you in your companies can also adopt. And they're simple, they are easy to achieve, and they are not theoretical. And I see CEOs and directors of very large companies in this auditorium. So if you can implement even one of this, I think my job here is done, right? Okay. One very tactical action for women who have just given birth. Please have mother care rooms. Please have rooms where they can go every 2 hours and pump breast milk, have fridges to store that breast milk. They will be willing to come to your workforce. They'll be willing to work if they have that facility. In most companies, unfortunately, and I'm speaking from my experience as a consultant of over 15 years, I have worked with a lot of FMCG companies, tech companies, banking companies, right, across geographies. Most leading companies don't have this basic amenity. Have that. It's one room. Please dedicate one room as a mother room, right? Second tactical action that you can do, which has worked very well in Japan, is the returnship program. If there are roles which don't really need, 10 years of experience, right? Please look for women who have had 5 years of experience in this segment, have had to leave their careers for whatever reason, offer them training, allow them to join back your workforce. They will be very grateful. They will perform better than existing people, mainly because you've given them the opportunity to work. Right? So do have returnship programs, pilot a returnship program for a role or two, right? That has really helped in Japan. In Japan, it is government mandated that companies have returnship programs. In India, we don't have that. But please, I would request you to try this out, right? And thirdly, if possible, given you are all tech firms, try to offer more remote working options and flexible working options to women. As long as they deliver their work products on time and it's of high quality, it doesn't matter if they're working the 8 hours during the day or they're working at night when they're when they're up trying to feed their children. Okay, I am, like I said, this is a very simplistic point of view, but this is one thing that we can do to help this cause.
Wonderful. Thank you, Diana. In fact, we've been doing a lot of research on this about Japan and India. So we saw that M curve, and in India there was no curve, it is just the going down. And just an interesting statistics on that. Close to 48 or 50% of women take a break before they reach the age of 30, right, in India, and they never come back. In fact, Avatar was started with the vision to helping women come back 20, 25 years back. And today, like Diana's a great point, today, wherever that we work with, we talk about the best company study, almost everyone has a career comeback program. But again, I said that's limited to companies which are truly invested in this or aware of it. I think we need more and more companies. I would say it's probably some 100, 150 companies, but we need to have thousands of companies actually having this program to helping women come back, because due to the various social cultural norms, women have to take a break. It's a choice. And I think they should also take a break with the confidence that that they can come back. But today, a lot of women are not even able to take a break because of the fear that they cannot come back. And that leads to a lot of mental health issues and problems in the society and the family. I think the career comeback Diana spoke is a very, very important part that everybody need to integrating in the organization. Thank you, Diana, for that. So Manasi, in fact, I had the pleasure of meeting Manasi in the morning, like everyone. Very interesting to know you have this versatile personality. She's a national high jumper. And Sufi, she has Sufi troupe. Yes, does a lot of things, Manasi, in addition to being an entrepreneur in tech. But how do you see these various biases, the gender biases, in your journey, whether be it in the sports, in various things that you pursue as a passion, but also as a tech entrepreneur? What do you see are the biases? Another important thing that we also want to see, India is again, it's very multi-dimensional and different levels, right? Sometimes we get confused. We look at a Bangalore or a Chennai or Mumbai and say, this is what true India is. It is not. And we say things have changed. But there is so many different layers within India, the tier 1, tier 2 cities, the metros, the non-metros. You come from Kolkata, which is obviously a metro, but from a tech standpoint may not be as, say, a Bangalore or a Chennai or even a Mumbai, Delhi. How do you see this biases and gender differences, Mansi?
Thank you for asking me this question, first of all. I'm privileged to be from Kolkata, the eastern part of India, first of all. And I will chant two lines in Sanskrit, which will prove about the thought of West Bengal and the eastern part of India. It's Yadevi Sarvabhuteshu Sakti Rupena Sanskita Namastasai 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 Namo Nama. Yadevi Sarvabhuteshu Matri Rupena Sanskita Namastasai 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 Namo Nama. Means I'm from a place where we we worship Ma Durga, Ma Kali, and the Sakti, the power of a woman. So blessed to be there. See, from my background, I will say I never faced any issues or problem from my family. I started Macau's Infotech. My father-in-law has given me the inspiration to start it at the age of 24, 25. My father was my first employee. When I was having some sort of issues in my organization, my husband left his career and joined my organization. And that is how I was blessed by my family till today. People take care of my son and everybody. Saying that, about other person, I will say about the cybersecurity domain, touching a little bit. I feel when I started, it was more of a programming, going and doing the marketing and all. But now it's work from anywhere, work from home. So according to me, place doesn't matter. Whether it's Bangalore, whether it's Kashmir, or whether it's even Kerala or anywhere. So it's same for me and for IT. And where there is less opportunity and low opportunity or no opportunity, that means you have got the maximum opportunity. No opportunity means new opportunity. From every negative word, you have to find the positive one. I'm a very positive person and I look after that. And as you are telling about my sports background and other background also, let me tell you, recently, as everybody knows, women has won the World Cup, Cricket World Cup. There was one tag going on, Meri chodi, tere chode se kam hai kya? That means my girls is not less than your guys. So I always believe in these things. Yeah, there will be some, people will say, we are not able to do that, not able to do this. But I'm not going with the physical things or the strength. I'm going with the Milton strength. We are multitasking. We can do lot of things. I worship Ma Durga who has 10 hands, and I believe on this thing. We as a women can change the world if everything comes from here. If we are ready to change. That's my thought.
Excellent, excellent, Mansi. I think what you say is it has to come within, right? While the families can support, obviously it is very important for women, at least in that context. I'm sure it's for men also, right? I think the more important is for men is to be that more intentional and be very purposeful and a lot of clarity in terms of what I really want to do. It's my success, it's my growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is going to be very important. I just one point, you said Ma Durga, and sometimes we make this tough for women, do multitasking, do have a lot of they're already doing it, Mansi.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of, with 2 hands we think they have 20 hands now. So for me, there's a little bit of fire that we have this huge expectation from women. Yeah, they're already doing more than what Ma Durga is doing at
Yeah.
homes, right? And therefore, I think we are putting too much pressure. Manasi, but what you said is absolutely thing, very, very
Sir,
important for us.
again, using a word bichara or bichari, I don't like this word. I mean, see,
Yeah.
I mean, there will be discrepancies, there will be lot of things, but if I want to go ahead, there will be hurdles, there will be obstruction.
Absolutely.
Roller coaster, right? 27 years is not a matter of joke.
Yeah.
I'm also a mother of a special child. So, I mean, lot of things happen.
Yeah.
But you have to have that courage to take it in that way.
Absolutely. The point that we also, so when we work with women, we do a lot of work with women. One of the things that we say is while we are working with organizations, the society, to do the transformational part of it right, but you can't wait till the world becomes an utopia. And it never would be. Then it is each for us to find our own way to actually meet those challenges.
Yeah, are you ready to change? That
Yeah.
is the question
That
that
is-
I want
that's
to
the-
ask
that's the
everybody.
very important that
Come
while
with
the
me.
organization doing, I think what should women also do for themselves is going to be very, very critical.
Yeah.
I think that's what you said, Mansi. Thanks a lot for that. Jyoti, I think
Yes,
you
Karthik.
come from this background where you work with startups, work with investors, with corporates now, helping in the innovation for all this. How do you see this in terms of the ecosystem that can really help women? More so women who is actually entered. Today we don't have a big problem with women entering because I said there are a lot of women graduates. So you go to the campus, you're able to hire women. The critical path is that sustenance, the sustaining and the ability for women to actually continue. But what would be your take on this as a advisor, as a person who's working in startups, investors and corporates, Jyoti?
Thanks, Karthik. In fact, the way you were mentioning, the Avatar Group has been working on this field for so long. I've been a spokesperson for almost 20 years on this particular topic. I started when it was heavily male-dominated setup. I will take some of the key points from each one of you when you're talking, right? Have we improved? We have. And you are very right. Now the access of education, the STEM education is very high. The returnship models in most of the bigger organizations. I belong to one such organization. They're extremely invested in women employees and especially the returnship programs. Multiple, and they don't focus on just one program. They put in multiple programs in such a way that there isn't enough ecosystem internally and externally for women to come in. But as you mentioned, sometimes the price of failure, the penalty which is attached to it is extremely high. We have to be able to acknowledge it. Unless we acknowledge these issues, we never address it. So if I take the point from you, Diana, okay, there are returnship programs, but the returnship programs cannot be just corporates. It has to be the ecosystem, it has to be the families, it has to be a very intentional and a very conscious decision, right? And same thing with what Mansi is talking about. That it has to be starting from a me issue, right? That said, we are in a social construct which has been built for so many years. So we can't just say that, okay, if I say that I have a strength or if my organization is just going ahead and giving me some kind of a benefits, everything will fall into place. No, consciously can we as leaders make sure that we are able to make those changes. We continue to be male dominated right now. As a startup, I would say when it comes to innovation, it is much easier for women to go in, but the risks which comes is much higher. If I do a corporate innovation or an entrepreneurship in an organization, my risks are very moderate. Maximum if I fail, I don't get my bonus or I lose a job and that's about it. But when as an entrepreneur, I'm not doing that, there is a investor bias. It has been there 20 years back. It is improved. We have much more ecosystem, but it still exists. And Navina probably can just kind of vouch for it. She has been in the same space for a very long time. So there is a balance, okay? But that said, we have to say that if people are finding a fatigue about talking about gender and parity, why are we speaking about the same thing again and again? Coming back to the social construct. If everything was right, we would be 50-50%, which we were talking about right now. Because gender parity is the easiest one when it comes to diversity and inclusion. PWT is not. Neurodiversity is not. Pride, our pride partners, they really have it tough. It is not. But we are not there, which means this problem exists, and if we are not ready to acknowledge it and put systemic interventions at every level, we won't be able to do it. Innovation should be in this space, and not just about we innovating, but also creating a systemic innovation in how do we speed this thing up? Can we make sure that, just when the college students are coming in, we train them, and college students, men and women, all the boys being told that, there will be a phase when it comes when the women will, due to the life changes, will be going back and they will re-enter. If we are giving them some special treatment, it is not unfair. They are not diversity candidates. They are fair candidates who should have been recognized, and they are being given trainings, they are being given opportunities. We do not just have to give all these, celebrate Women's Day on that particular day. We have to celebrate it every day. The same way the Men Day also. So we need to have the right kind of a mix, right? And I am glad that you are here in this panel, and it's not just all women sitting here and talking.
Thank you, Jyoti. And some very interesting thing that you spoke about, and the ecosystem. And it's good that you are now actually there as the next person that I'm going to ask you this question, Madhula, right? As part of the IITM Global Research Foundation, you're working with a lot of startups, right? And in fact, Jyoti also spoke about it. How do you really start off ensure that startups have an inclusive workplace, create that culture? It is very, very important. And we are talking about innovation. There are several research which actually talks about it and says this, and even in one of our research, when we do the best companies report where the companies are very good in the gender diversity part of it, their innovation revenue is very high. So therefore, if we are in the incubation centers, the innovation, the startups who are working on sort of innovative products and solutions, gender diversity could be one of the answers to one talent, and also some great ideas emerging. How does IIT Madras Research Foundation help in that, and what can you do?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Having seen both the entrepreneurial and institutional side of innovation, I strongly believe deep tech ecosystem, or academia connected innovation hubs like IIT Madras ecosystem has a very transformative role to play in building inclusive tech ecosystem, right? And today IIT Madras is a very successful example for this, especially in charting pathways for women in research, entrepreneurship and leadership. Women bring in unique perspectives for technology, more often community-centric, empathic, and sustainability-focused. And at IITM Global Research Foundation, we look at academia as a tech equalizer, a strong tech equalizer, a place where people from different background, gender, and geography get equal access to, say, funding, mentorship, and global access, right? Now, what is the next step? So academia should also form strong partnerships with industry and government. IIT Madras Research Park is doing it beautifully. We are strongly working with the government on multiple aspects and with industries as well. And, when all these three stakeholders come together with parity as the priority, a shared priority, that is when we move from just talking about inclusion to actually, bringing it inside the innovation blueprint, which is ultimately, will help in creating inclusive tech ecosystems. To on the startup side, we have Navina here, but just again to quote a few example from our IIT Madras Research Park, we have some great women leaders and founders. I see one sitting here today. Since I told I'm going to talk about her. So we have women founders and leaders building, right from rocket engines to impactful farming, technology solutions, and from very impactful or game-changing construction tech ecosystems to neuroprotective wearable devices. You name it, we have women founders doing it all in the research park. If you especially talk to investors and peers of these women founders, they'll tell you how they are uniquely building these startups, more leaner, more profitable in very unique ways, right? And even on the ecosystem side, we are fortunate to have a great women leader, Dr. Tamaswati Ghosh, who's ensuring that our tech ecosystem is staying number one in India. And on the academic side, just to name a few, we have Dr. Preeti, who's now making the entire East Africa look up to India through her leadership at IITM Zanzibar. And we have, Dr. Richa leading the entrepreneurship cell, nurturing the next young entrepreneurs from IIT Madras. And Dr. Indumadi putting a very unique sustainability ecosystem together by pulling innovators from across the country. So these are just few examples, right? But this, shows that IIT Madras as an ecosystem is, building a very inclusive ecosystem, tech ecosystem, especially deep tech ecosystem. Since it's IIT Madras, I have to quote that. A very inclusive deep tech ecosystem, which is both impactful and inclusive, right? And if you get into the depth of it, I agree to what Diana said. We have made a very flexible, work environment. Right? For example, there is a creche in Research Park. There is a creche inside the main IIT Madras campus, which is making, work much easier for our women. And, so these are the crux of it, right? There are multiple aspects, fix the infrastructure, and there is mindset, right? And, all this should come together. And of course, there has to be partnerships like, the academia, government, and industry partnership, which should sort of fix all aspects, like right from policy, workplace environment, and everything to make this work for women. So it's like how they say, it takes a whole village to bring up a kid. It takes all stakeholders to come together to reach true parity.
Thank you. And the amazing work that you're doing to create women founders. But I think it's just not about that. And Navina, this is where we are going to come to you. I think there has been this association with you and the IIT Madras Research Foundation. But as a founder, and as a women leader and as a women founder, do you see difficulty in sort of attracting talent as with male founder? Navina, do you see any challenges? Because people have to sort of, okay, as a woman, how can she be leading a tech? Is there some bias that you see? Then how do you really ensure that you are able to really overcome that, Navina?
I'm super glad you asked this question because as a startup, it's a struggle to get the right talent, as always. But it's not about just finding, the right talent, but it's also about spreading the word that it's okay to work in startups. See, women are risk averse. They have to have all the ducks lined up. And they're planning even when they enter the institute. We wanted to change that. So actually I'm going to quote some examples because we can talk theoretical all the time. But what we did was an experiment. We felt like we need to topple the pyramid. Look from the summit first, how can we solve this problem? It's even, for one example, is the Bloom's taxonomy, where you have to learn all kinds of things. And final year, you do one project, and finally that project may get you a job. We wanted to topple that. Why don't you start on year one with AI and all this stuff? But then we took this example to the extremes. We went to an all-women's institute, an arts and science in Madurai, and we explained to them that we want to make the 800 people AI ready. And luckily, it was led by a woman principal. And it was a challenge because when we walked into the institution, there was this static display of Meenakshi. Madurai is blessed with Meenakshi temple. I invite all of you to come and join us. And we just looked at it and we said, what would inspire these girls to pick up AI? Because we had a reason. We want the talent. And how do we nurture the talent? So the experiment was, we said, let us make everybody AI ready. And initially everyone was shy, and we shattered another glass ceiling. We wanted borderless sciences. An English major, a Tamil major, any major can work with AI. The ubiquitousness that AI is only meant for certain sciences, we wanted to break it. So we told the principal we are happy to help her lead and be a beautiful example to all, because talent density is what everybody is struggling with when you go to Bangalore or any part of the world. And we made, the agreement was that we would provide them Make GPT accessible as the first institute. And the goal was we wanted all the 800 students should have worked on experiments with AI with a prompt. They should be able to build hardware products. Because we can always say, oh, look at the lights they turned on as we come in. It's made with AI or with sensors. But what if they were able to make those things? So the next experiment was we invited them to IIT Madras Research Park. We invited a huge batch to come for an inaugural launch. And what they did was a miracle. They brought that static Meenakshi statues and other things, the temple that they built, they made it fully AI and IoT. And that was a sensation in the whole area of Tamil Nadu, because one of the inventions they came up with, when women always pay attention to details. They said when we walk into temples, there's always this vibhuti and kumkum lying everywhere because people dump them after taking it. So they made an AI IoT vibhuti dispenser. What if you put the hand, you take the little amount you want, and they had to work on how much vibhuti should be dispensed or the kumkum, so that they wanted the temples clean, because ultimately when you go to temples, you'll see women, because of bhakti or whatever it is, cleaning the temples. They wanted to make it clean and efficient, and they brought the first invention to the whole marketplace. And now they become entrepreneurs where all the temples are asking them to install these vibhuti dispensers in large and small, and they made a change. So that's the way we tackle this. We were very short of talent. We are growing fast. It's a Sam Altman's moment for us. What the ChatGPT did for software, we are doing it for hardware. And we need to go to the whole world. And we want talent density. So we solve the problem by inclusion. And that's how we are trying to solve the problem everywhere.
From the land that...
Absolutely. A great example that you spoke about, Navina. In fact, I think Mr. Vasudevan Kidambi spoke about de-risking. You're talking about talent density. If you're going to sort of, depend on the 50% of the population which is men, and that means you're taking a lot of risk. And today, I think more and more women are graduating than men. So if we don't do that, I think the men graduating for whatever reason is actually lesser than women. So we are putting at a risk if we really don't create such kind of access and disruptions and the way that we really need to change our workplace, then we are going to miss that very crucial talent that is actually coming out of colleges and our homes today. I think great point, Navina. Diana, well, as you spoke about how corporates can actually do a lot of change in terms of one, helping women come back and various other facilities that you really spoke about. But how do you really sort of have more women leaders? There is this, actually people think that it is more of, now from a diversity standpoint, it's more of tokenism, but whatever may be, but how can women really prepare for those kind of roles? I think that is one thing that you can actually get those roles, but the preparation is going to be really key because within the context of the larger corporate world, you may not have real role models there at your level, and their experiences and their situation and context of men, when I say there is men, this could be very different for women because you have your own different set of challenges, the family expectations, the social expectations, the corporate world. You are managing and you still need to be a leader and actually deliver there. So how do you think women actually can be more prepared and what can organizations can do for the preparation, Diana?
Sure, thank you for that question. If you remember the previous answer, we were discussing some data. I keep going back to data. They bring me, a little bit of peace. Like I said, the female workforce participation in Japan was 70-75%. In India, it was 25-30%. Let me show you a different cut of the same data. If there are, say, 10 managers working in Japan, only one is a woman, right? 10, 11. So the female representation at managerial level and above in Japan, not India, is 11%. And I'm talking about a nation where 75% of the women workforce are employed. In India, the number is better. The number is at 20%. So if I look at 100 managers, 20 of them are likely to be women. The glass ceiling in both countries are very low, but India is actually doing better. And that goes back to our culture. The culture of both Japan and India tend towards women being the primary caretaker. And this is why women in Japan choose to have lower responsibility, and if they don't choose, they are not entrusted with managerial and leadership positions because there's this intrinsic bias in the mentality of Japanese folks that women will not be able to manage both the household and the workforce simultaneously. So yes, you are employed, but you will not be given a leadership position. Right? In fact, yes, they have a lot of policies, for example, flexible working hours in Japan. It is looked down upon to take that flexible working hours. It shows that you are not giving your 100% to the company. So irrespective of where in the world we are, right, women continue to face challenges. It's not just an India issue. Let me talk about what I have seen in my experience. Now, the answer to all your questions would have been very different 2 years back. I have a 1-year-old daughter at home, so all my answers are now nuanced from that angle. I come from a very competitive and meritocratic work environment. I have worked for top consulting firms, top VC firms, where meritocracy is the only metric. There is transparent pay across gender bias. In fact, the pay is published. Right? It's public to everyone. Who is earning how much? And it's the same across levels. For a level, it's same across genders. Right? Whether you're biologically born as a man or a woman, you are getting the same pay at the, right? So very, very meritocratic. They gave excellent benefits, whether it's maternity care, whether it's insurance, right? But this is where the difference starts. In the companies that I speak of, there is a very strong up or out culture. And by that I mean, if you don't get promoted, we will promote you every 2 years. But if you don't get promoted every 2 years, you're out of the company because you're not meritocratic enough, right? They're very inclusive. They want to empower women. So yes, you can take maternity leave, but it will affect your tenure. So we will promote you. We're not saying we're not going to promote you, but instead of promoting you every 2 years, we will promote you 2.5 years. Right. Now imagine the perspective of the women. These are women coming from the best institutions, going into top 0.5% of the companies, right? A handful of employees, have been at par with their male counterparts for years. And when you talk about being on the partner track, you are getting promoted late because of a life decision you make. Now let's look at it from the male's perspective, right? Is it, say now the company says, okay, even if you take maternity leave for 6 months and then extended maternity cover for another 6 months, even though you've worked technically only for 1 year, we are going to promote you. Is it fair for the men who are working for those 2 years? Not really, right? Here, my tactical solution would be to find solutions that are equitable. that allow men to play a larger role in the household along with the workforce. Please have paternity leaves. Please have paternity leaves which are of 6 months. Why is it that culturally we are expecting women to have a 6-month maternity leave? A father is important. Please give a 6-month paternity leave with an option of extended childcare of 1 year or 2 years. Allow fathers to take the responsibility of kids also. So that is tactical solution number 1. You are also absolutely right when you say that there are very few women leaders. But women by nature, because we have to face similar sort of adversities, even if there aren't a lot of women in your current organization, please reach out to your peers, to your batchmates, to your fellow STEM colleagues. They would be facing very similar challenges in their organizations as well. Lean on each other, support on each other, right? Try to understand who your mentors can be, not just in the organization, but outside the organization as well. There's a very fascinating study which says women don't apply to a job if they meet around 70% of the criteria in the job description. Men apply even if they meet 50% of the criteria. Don't put that much pressure on yourself. You have managed so many things. I'm sure you can manage a job where you meet 70% of the criteria. So push for that job. You can do it, right? Find a mentor who has gone through all the challenges. Right, so these two, one from a corporate perspective and one from a women perspective, individual perspective, these are the two solutions that I would greatly recommend, if possible, to be implemented.
Can I just add something? I mean, I'm listening to it, but there's a fundamental change required in the way we bring up women. I have to add that. Because I've had this experience of offering women in the workforce, whether it's the US or India, opportunities. But the mindset of the person is predetermined. It is the way they are growing up, the way the messages are coming from the parents to the siblings and everything. We can provide as many opportunities and all these policies, but the fundamental thing, I may be causing a little bit of discomfort, but the idea is, what are we telling a girl child as they're growing up? Are we asking them to take risk? Policies are all fine, but the individual has to make the decisions. And I've had this opportunity of asking, whether it's rural or other places, would you like to be a co-founder? And the answer is, no, ma'am, I want to be an employee. And how shocked should I be when I'm thinking of inclusion and all these opportunities? And I did not contest, but it goes back to the safety, the aversion to risk, and the upbringing and the knowledge that they want to be enablers. So there is a lot of aspects that we need to deal with as society. I'm sorry, I had to say that to you.
No, absolutely great point. What you said, all the things that the organizations that are already doing. I think what we actually, when the work that we do and while we work with organizations, and today we work with girls at the schools and the colleges, and we really talk about one thing. We talk about biases. What about the biases that women carry? We talk about what we call it as a self-limiting biases, the biases which limits your own true potential. The biases which tells you these are things that you can do and that you cannot do. And it's not their fault. It is from the centuries of the way that the families have been built, constant hearing this is what women can do, cannot do. You can work. See, today we have a lot of women engineers graduating, but they go to the tech. They don't go to the manufacturing. Because there's very strong traditional bias that if you go to manufacturing, it's a plant. Plant is not safe for women. It's not, then you have to lift heavy weights in the plant. Things have changed. The plants have become automated. It is much more safer. Today, it's not about remote. You go to any place, it takes about 1.5 hours to travel in the traffic. Right? Things have changed, but that's still a very strong mindset that either the family or in at home, right? You said, no, please don't do this, don't do that, you can't be. So I think the biggest thing that you rightly said, while we are doing all these things we have to work with the girl children at the school, at the colleges to break some of the strong mindsets and the stereotypes and the biases that We have sort of that inception, right from childhood. And I think that is going to be the biggest change that is happening. And on the topic to you, Manasi, while we are talking about all these corporates, they have, I would say probably, sorry for using the word, the luxury of doing it, but startups are very different, right? You are there to, first of all, to survive, to grow, right? Those are challenges. You spoke about this today. A lot of organizations are beginning the maternity leave from 7 days. Some of them have gone to a month. Some of them have said, yeah, if you want to really bring the gender parity. And because the biggest thing that comes is, yeah, you hire women, but they go on a 6 months maternity leave. And so the biggest way is, yeah, you also go on a 6 months paternity leave, right? You go also take, and this is where you bring the balance. But can a startup do that? Right? You are in the face of competition, revenue, but how do you manage that, create a gender inclusive environment, Manasi?
Before replying this question of yours, in the last, whatever you have asked me, I started thanking my family, my everybody. I mean, till today, whatever I have done, I have thanks everybody. Now, I left out with something that I should do before starting with the startup. I have got beautiful, I will not say, supportive people with me as my friend from a community called ISODA. I don't know whether they are there or not. I mean, the Bimes and other people are there. They always have helped me whenever I am in need. And this association is with me for last, 12 years. So it's a long association that I have. So I really find if you are going, you have to go far. You have to have some support system. Always not the family, the friend, the association, the organization, everything. So lucky to have all these things. That is why I'm here. Starting about the startups, yes. Now, when I started, there was not much of a competition. So when the competition is less, you can go ahead and try to give your best, but sometimes it happens when the competition is maximum and the people, when for last 2 days I have met 15 to 20 people, those who are the startup in AI. How do you sustain? First and foremost, you have to have very strong willpower to sustain. Even if it's just like again, sports. One day you will win, one day you will lose. But don't lose your patience. Don't leave we call it the game, or don't give up. One day it can happen, somehow you are not performing, things are not going well, or even a bouncer ball comes and hit your head. For 6 months you are out of, the cricket arena or something. But does it mean that you will give up? No. So, no give up attitude has to be the main thing for the startup, whether it's men or women, but no give up attitude. Otherwise, don't come to the business. Business is not a place where, the miracle is going to happen within 2 to 3 years. No. I always say to all my employees, if you are, thinking of that in couple of years you will do miracle, it is not. You have to think of a test match rather than 2020. Okay. And coming to that, this funding and all, yeah, there are a lot of funds which you need to understand why and how you want to get the fund, and you have to have proper budget. And remember one thing, that you have to give it back to either the bank or the government or the incubator, yeah. Or it's not that you are taking a non-refundable and don't refund, and so that has to be fund. Means how you are managing the fund, that is the main thing. Now it comes to what are the funds that can be availed. See, for government you have the state government and you have the central government. There are lot of Mahila Yojanas. if you Google and you will find it out. There are certain things which has been given by West Bengal government, particularly in travel and tourism, and even in IT sectors. 65% of the project fund will be given to the women entrepreneur. So I'm not naming them because you will find it in the Google, and and there are associations like NASSCOM. In NASSCOM, I'm a member of NASSCOM. We help the startup to grow, whether it's women or guys, or girls, doesn't matter. But women entrepreneur, even we have a different cell for doing that. So you get associated. The people, those who want to get the fund, they can go to, approach NASSCOM and get it done. Same, I'm associated with one more association called Babshaye Bangali, means Bengalis are in, business, yeah, Babshaye Bangali. So in that, we again give some fund for the rural developments, those who are doing, the ladies, those who are into this sort of business. Leaving everything, you have some microfinance where you can get the funding based on your project.
Okay.
So if you have the IP, if you are into certain things which they are ready to fund, which you can transfer, we call it tangible benefit and intangible benefits. So these are the things that people will look after. The people, those who are giving the money,
Yeah.
but there are chances of getting it.
Sure.
So again, the last line that I will say, before taking the fund, you have to keep in mind that you are going to give it back, number one. Number two, how there should be a budget for it. And third, whatever the discussion today, we have everybody, all the women should have a structure where they can put their organization in autopilot mode.
Okay.
Whether you have a surgery or a maternity leave, if we can think of something autopilot mode, it will help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Manasi. And one thing that we said, have a never give up attitude and be well prepared. Thank you. And we are coming very close to the end. I just got a message as well. If I can have a quick 1 minute response from each of you, 1 minute. Okay. Jyoti, very important thing, right? We are talking about the corporates, right? What should the role of women leaders and male allies? Should they be accountable for this? Or it should be sort of more volunteer, or should we have some sort of numbers or targets? A quick response.
Yeah, if I can just add,
this is-
Karthik, we're running a bit short on time, so let's make this also sort of a concluding remark.
Absolutely.
Just the last
In
one.
fact,
Yes.
this has been a pretty long one. I would just say that we cannot depend completely on the voluntary. We really need to, we all have been talking about the tribe and all that, intentional, very conscious decisions and discussions, not just mentors, but sponsors as well, at all levels. Men, women, ecosystem, everywhere. That would be my short answer.
Absolutely. Thank you. And to you, Madhula,
Same,
how could that be? Do you need mentors or sponsors?
Oh yeah, sponsorship is one topic that we don't talk much about. So sponsorship is where leaders, both men and women, go beyond mentorship and use their when they use their personal credibility and networks to advocate for someone's growth. Right? This is what we need right now. Just to go 2 examples quickly. I know we are running short of time. Like how Sheryl Sandberg had Mark Zuckerberg advocate for her. Now I think she's doing it for a lot of other women leaders in our organization. And just to quote one example from my favorite Indian mythology, one unique example, I think Gargi, one of the earliest philosophers, she used to debate with very a lot of well-renowned male philosophers in the court of Janaka, and that's because Janaka was a sponsor. He created the platform to tell the world that she deserves to be there. So we need such sponsors today, right? We need more modern sponsors, both men and women, for more women to get shining opportunities, especially in the tech ecosystem. So and of course, to make this happen, we should have structured sponsorship programs. We have so many big organizations here today. We can all plan to have a very structured program where you can map leaders to candidates of their choice and probably track them on a regular basis. So sponsorship gets tracked and recognized, and which also leads to more parity.
Thank you so much. I think we had some very wonderful discussions. Thanks a lot for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One more time, I want to thank all the panelists. You've done an incredible job lending your voices to this really important conversation. I'm going to ask you to remain on stage for just a few more minutes, because I know when you're released, I'm never going to get you back at one place, one time, ever again. So we wanted to do a group photo. For the rest of you in the audience here, just wanted to make a brief pause. We're going to break for about 10 minutes. We have refreshment just outside, so stand up and stretch, get yourself ready for the next session, which will queue up. This is going to be a compelling one. We are doing a CEO panel discussion, a fireside chat, where they share their experience and talk about some of the trends and directions in the business, these three forces coming together. I see the gentleman sitting in front here. We have the group CEO of Reddington, we have the CEO of Zoho, and we have the CEO of IIT Madras Research Park. So you have the homegrown hero, you have, in many ways, the orchestrator, and you have the facility that's incubating this next generation of leaders. So we're going to break now for 10 minutes. We will come back in the room and kick off the session in 10 more minutes. Thank you.
Healed with traditional medicines, we've mapped from the land that gave the world zero, that mapped the stars before telescopes. Healed with traditional medicines before modern therapies, and debated with logic in ancient universities, emerges a new wave of innovation, rooted in knowledge, driven by science, and destined for the world. India today is fueling a new knowledge economy with values rooted in peace, tolerance, and spirituality, and powered by high-quality academic institutions like IIT Madras. And it is this legacy that we are now ready to expand with IITM Global, the world's first multinational university.
So IIT Madras Global is to take our solutions to the entire world and also take some very important problems that the other parts of the world has and bring it to IIT Madras so that our faculty, our young children can work on it and give solutions.
The faculty strength, the IP, the startups, and our bespoke interdisciplinary programs. How do we take this outside? So you just focus on these four pillars. Then there is a model which is actually infrastructure light, IP heavy.
This is a very unique model that we are building where the Indian deep tech meets global opportunities. It will position IIT Madras as probably the first multinational, truly multinational university that takes the entire research and innovation ecosystem into a new market. And that is where we felt that there is an absolute necessity for us to create an impact outside, both socially as well as economically, because a country which invites us should be able to gain as well. So there has to be an economic value add. So that is what we are actually doing through IIT Madras Global.
We are here to fuel deep tech startup dreams in a serene, unexpected setting, to forge knowledge partnerships with the best but unassuming minds, and to solve the world's biggest problems with purpose and innovation. Several startups from IIT Madras are making significant waves, such as Galaxy, Hyperloop, ePlane, Zero Watt, Agnikul, and Solinas. With 1 billion voices and one vision, India carries the strength of the largest population of aspiring young minds, all eager to reshape the world.
This is surely what we call as an interdependence between nations that keeps the planet together. And that's the concept of Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, one future, one earth, and one family.
Some of the first few centers of IITM Global are going to be set up in countries such as USA, Germany, UAE, Malaysia, and Indonesia. As a nation, we have our eyes on global leadership. Together, let's collaborate and harness the power of research. Together, let's create a new future. IITM Global, where India meets the world and the world meets its future. From the land that gave the world zero, that mapped the stars before telescopes, healed with traditional medicines before modern therapies, and debated with logic in ancient universities. emerges a new wave of innovation, rooted in knowledge, driven by science, and destined for the world. India today is fueling a new knowledge economy with values rooted in peace, tolerance, and spirituality, and powered by high-quality academic institutions like IIT Madras. And it is this legacy that we are now ready to expand with IITM Global, the world's first multinational university.
So IIT Madras Global is to take our solutions to the entire world and also take some very important problems that the other parts of the world has and bring it to IIT Madras so that our faculty, our young children can work on it and give solutions.
The faculty strength, the IP, the startups, and our bespoke interdisciplinary programs. How do we take this outside? So you just focus on these 4 pillars. Then there is a model which is actually infrastructure light, IP heavy.
This is a very unique model that we are building where the Indian deep tech meets global opportunities. It will position IIT Madras as probably the first multinational, truly multinational university that takes the entire research and innovation ecosystem into a new market, and that is where we felt that there is an absolute necessity for us to create an impact outside, both socially as well as economically, because a country which invites us should be able to gain as well. So there has to be an economic value add. So that is what we are actually doing through IIT Madras Global.
We are here to fuel deep tech startup dreams in a serene, unexpected setting, to forge knowledge partnerships with the best but unassuming minds, and to solve the world's biggest problems with purpose and innovation. Several startups from IIT Madras are making significant waves such as Galaxy, Hyperloop, ePlane, Zero Watt, Agnikul, and Solinas. With 1 billion voices and one vision, India carries the strength of the largest population of aspiring young minds, all eager to reshape the world.
This is surely what we call as an interdependence between nations that keeps the planet together. And that's the concept of Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, one future, one earth, and one family.
Some of the first few centers of IITM Global are going to be set up in countries such as USA, Germany, UAE, Malaysia, and Indonesia. As a nation, we have our eyes on global leadership. Together, let's collaborate and harness the power of research. Together, let's create a new future. IITM Global, where India meets the world and the world meets its future. From the land that gave the world zero, that mapped the stars before telescopes, healed with traditional medicines before modern therapies, and debated with logic in ancient universities, emerges a new wave of innovation, rooted in knowledge, driven by science, and destined for the world. India today is fueling a new knowledge economy with values rooted in peace, tolerance, and spirituality, and powered by high-quality academic institutions like IIT Madras. And it is this legacy that we are now ready to expand with IITM Global, the world's first multinational university.
So IIT Madras Global is to take our solutions to the entire world and also take some very important problems that the other parts of the world has and bring it to IIT Madras so that our faculty, our young children can work on it and give solutions.
The faculty strength, the IP, the startups, and our bespoke interdisciplinary programs. How do we take this outside? So you just focus on these 4 pillars. Then there is a model which is actually infrastructure light, IP heavy.
This is a very unique model that we are building where the Indian deep tech meets global opportunities. It will position IIT Madras as probably the first multinational, truly multinational university that takes the entire research and innovation ecosystem into a new market, and that is where we felt that there is an absolute necessity for us to create an impact outside, both socially as well as economically, because a country which invites us should be able to gain as well. So there has to be an economic value add. So that is what we are actually doing through IIT Madras Global.
We are here to fuel deep tech startup dreams in a serene, unexpected setting, to forge knowledge partnerships with the best but unassuming minds, and to solve the world's biggest problems with purpose and innovation. Several startups from IIT Madras are making significant waves such as Galaxy, Hyperloop, E-Plane, Zero Watt, Agnicool, and Solinas. With 1 billion voices and one vision, India carries the strength of the largest population of aspiring young minds, all eager to reshape the world.
This is surely what we call as an interdependent
that gave the world zero, that mapped the stars before telescopes, healed with traditional medicines before modern therapies, and debated with logic in ancient universities, emerges a new wave of innovation, rooted in knowledge, driven by science, and destined for the world. India today is fueling a new knowledge economy with values rooted in peace, tolerance, and spirituality, and powered by high-quality academic institutions like IIT Madras. And it is this legacy that we are now ready to expand with IITM Global, the world's first multinational university.
So IIT Madras Global is to take our solutions to the entire world and also take some very important problems that the other parts of the world has and bring it to IIT Madras so that our faculty, our young children can work on it and give solutions.
The faculty strength, the IP, the startups, and our bespoke interdisciplinary programs. How do we take this outside? So you just focus on these 4 pillars. Then there is a model which is actually infrastructure light, IP heavy.
This is a very unique model that we are building where the Indian deep tech meets global opportunities. It will position IIT Madras as probably the first multinational, truly multinational university that takes the entire research and innovation ecosystem into a new market, and that is where we felt that there is an absolute necessity for us to create an impact outside, both socially as well as economically, because a country which invites us should be able to gain as well. So there has to be an economic value add. So that is what we are actually doing through IIT Madras Global.
We are here to fuel deep tech startup dreams in a serene, unexpected setting, to forge knowledge partnerships with the best but unassuming minds, and to solve the world's biggest problems with purpose and innovation. Several startups from IIT Madras are making significant waves such as Galaxy, Hyperloop, E-Plane, Zero Watt, Agnicool, and Solinas. With 1 billion voices and one vision, India carries the strength of the largest population of aspiring young minds, all eager to reshape the world.
This is surely what we call as an interdependence between nations that keeps the planet together. And that's the concept of Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, one future, one earth, and one family.
Some of the first few centers of IITM Global are going to be set up in countries such as USA, Germany, UAE, Malaysia, and Indonesia. As a nation, we have our eyes on global leadership. Together, let's collaborate and harness the power of research. Together, let's create a new future. IITM Global, where India meets the world and the world meets its future. From the land that gave the world zero, that mapped the stars before telescopes, healed with traditional medicines before modern therapies, and debated with logic in ancient universities, emerges a new wave of innovation, rooted in knowledge, driven by science, and destined for the world. India today is fueling a new knowledge economy with values rooted in peace, tolerance, and spirituality, and powered by high-quality academic institutions like IIT Madras. And it is this legacy that we are now ready to expand with IITM Global, the world's first multinational university.
So IIT Madras Global is to take our solutions to the entire world and also take some very important problems that the other parts of the world has and bring it to IIT Madras so that our faculty, our young children can work on it and give solutions.
The faculty strength, the IP, the startups, and our bespoke interdisciplinary programs. How do we take this outside? So you just focus on these four pillars. Then there is a model which is actually infrastructure light, IP heavy.
This is a very unique model that we are building where the Indian deep tech meets global opportunities. It will position IIT Madras as probably the first multinational, truly multinational university that takes the entire research and innovation ecosystem into a new market, and that is where we felt that there is an absolute necessity for us to create an impact outside, both socially as well as economically, because a country which invites us should be able to gain as well. So there has to be an economic value add. So that is what we are actually doing through IIT Madras Global.
We are here to fuel deep tech startup dreams in a serene, unexpected setting, to forge knowledge partnerships with the best but unassuming minds, and to solve the world's biggest problems with purpose and innovation. Several startups from IIT Madras are making significant waves such as Galaxy, Hyperloop, ePlane, ZeroWatt, Agnikul, and Solinas. With 1 billion voices and one vision, India carries the strength of the largest population of aspiring young minds, all eager to reshape the world.
This is surely what we call as an interdependence between nations that keeps the planet together. And that's the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one future, one earth, and one family.
Some of the first few centers of IITM Global are going to be set up in countries such as USA, Germany, UAE, Malaysia, and Indonesia. As a nation, we have our eyes on global leadership. Together, let's collaborate and harness the power of research. Together, let's create a new future. IITM Global, where India meets the world and the world meets its future. From the land that gave the world zero, that mapped the stars before telescopes, healed with traditional medicines before modern therapies, and debated with logic in ancient universities, emerges a new wave of innovation, rooted in knowledge, driven by science, and destined for the world. India today is fueling a new knowledge economy with values rooted in peace, tolerance, and spirituality, and powered by high-quality academic institutions like IIT Madras. And it is this legacy that we are now ready to expand with IITM Global, the world's first multinational university.
So IIT Madras Global is to take our solutions to the entire world and also take some very important problems that the other parts of the world has and bring it to IIT Madras so that our faculty, our young children can work on it and give solutions.
The faculty strength, the IP, the startups, and our bespoke interdisciplinary programs. How do we take this outside? So you just focus on these four pillars. Then there is a model which is actually infrastructure light, IP heavy.
This is a very unique model that we are building where the Indian deep tech meets global opportunities. It will position IIT Madras as probably the first multinational, truly multinational university that takes the entire research and innovation ecosystem into a new market, and that is where we felt that there is an absolute necessity for us to create an impact outside, both socially as well as economically, because
So if you haven't already, make your way forward. Find yourself a seat. We're making the final call outside, closing the refreshments, shutting the lights. We're bringing all delegates back into the room for the second half of the conference. I had mentioned before, and let me just repeat one more time, we have the honor of being hosted by IIT Madras. Tomorrow, if you want to be part of the VIP delegation, where we'll have tea with the director and also an opportunity to meet some of the directors and an opportunity to see some of the campus and facilities and innovators. If you haven't already done that, you can go to the help desk or you talk directly to Priyushri. Everybody knows Priyu. Priyu can make sure that you're on the schedule. Those shuttle buses will be leaving from the hotel at 10:30 tomorrow morning. Better to be there at 10 than 10:30. We're going to manage that on a reservation basis, so please make yourself known to Priyushri or the reservation desk if you would like to be part of that tour of the IIT Madras campus. I will come back to you in just a moment. Okay, sorry to leave you in a little bit of suspense. We had a few last-minute changes and tweaks, but I am confident that everything is in good order. Now, I had mentioned before the break that we're going to have a special session this afternoon. We talk a lot about this big opportunity that India represents. We talk a lot about this transformational moment for the country, the nation, the marketplace. And there are individual forces that are playing very big roles in making that happen. And we do have 3 of those forces here at the event. We're really pleased and honored at a CEO level to have one of the homegrown heroes, the bootstrapped unicorn. We have the CEO of Zoho, which is really just the shining example of really what's possible here in the country. We have the CEO of INTM Global Research Park, which is our host and our home for this event. Look up and look around. The next big thing, the innovations, the products and technologies, they're remarkable, and it's happening right here. We also have the global CEO of Reddington. Now, before I introduce him and ask him to step forward to say a few words, we do have a video to start off.
India today is fueling a new knowledge economy with values rooted in peace, tolerance, and spirituality. Empowered by high-quality
Every great journey begins with a spark.
IIT Madras.
A spark that builds bridges that turns distances into connections.
With IITM Global, the world's first multinational university.
Okay.
So IIT Madras.
Okay. Keeping with the running theme of India in a transformational moment, there is also a running theme on the stage here, which I keep having a few hiccups, so apologies for that. But make a signal when you are ready with the Reddington video. Yes? All right.
A spark that builds bridges that turns distances into connections. For us, that spark began in 1993. What started as distribution soon became something more. We grew with purpose, from warehouses stacked with boxes to 40-plus markets across the globe, from moving products to unlocking possibilities that touch lives. Students learning with tablets, doctors using digital diagnostics, entrepreneurs powering small shops with technology. From being a powerhouse of distribution to becoming a catalyst for digital growth, we pivoted because the world was changing. From boxes to cloud, from logistics to AI, from hardware to software-first solution, so that every business, every community, every person stays future-ready. Today, Reddington is more than a distributor. We connect technology to markets. We reduce complexity. We simplify adoption. We enable brands, partners, and customers to grow faster. We built an ecosystem where our people, processes, platforms, and partnerships work in harmony. That is our true strength, the backbone of Unlock Next. Our portfolio spans the spectrum of life and work. IT infrastructure, mobility, security AI, solar. We power progress with clear purpose. Through efficiency, smart partnerships, and bold bets, our network delivers not just speed, but resilience, powered by digitization, built for the future. Wherever progress is needed, we are there, empowering businesses, enabling communities, creating access, building trust, driving efficiency, making an impact. We began as the brand behind brands. We worked to reduce technology friction, and now we are ready to unlock next. A future of access, growth, trust, efficiency, impact. That is not just our vision, it is our promise. 70,000 partners, hundreds of brands, warehouses, offices, service centers, a global ecosystem bound by collaboration. We don't just deliver technology, we make it accessible, we make it meaningful, we make it yours. Together, we unlock next.
'Cause unlock next is never done.
If it wasn't clear before, it's a lot clearer now. One of the pivotal forces of change in this marketplace, one of the drivers, the orchestrators of the new India. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a very warm welcome to the Managing Director and Group CEO at Reddington Distribution. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Hariharan V.S.
Good afternoon. Everyone can hear me? Yeah? Okay. Very good afternoon. It's an honor to be here amidst a lot of partners, corporate resellers, system integrators, ISVs, startups, a lot of creators and innovators in the room as well. And of course, honored to be with CEO of Zoho and CEO of IIT Research Madras Park as well. A very good afternoon. I'll just try and take 10-12 minutes how, as a company, Redington has been a distributor for almost 32 years, and that has been our foundation. However, orchestration is our calling, and how we are embarking on this journey going from distribution to orchestration. Let me start off by sharing a little bit. You saw it in the video, but it's important to set the context. We've been around for 32 years. We work with 450 plus global brands. It ranges from smartphones, PCs, server storage, all the way to a lot of software brands and services. We support 60 to 70,000 channel partners globally in 40 plus countries. And we're now in the top 10 IT distribution companies in the world. We are number 8. And we are not present in US, Europe, and China, the 3 largest markets. We are largely in emerging markets. That's our play. We are a listed company and completely board managed. What is really important is over the last several years, we made this shift. If you see on the top right-hand side, our product portfolio, we've gotten to cloud solutions and services in a big way. That's the pivot we are making. It's not like hardware is not important. Hardware is equally important, but we're making this pivot as the industry transforms. And we're sitting in that point in the tech ecosystem where we are close enough to know what are the trends, what are the changing pieces, and how we can orchestrate. And we also have a broad enough coverage to move that orchestration in a very significant way. So that's the point of this slide. Now, very important piece, why software matters. Software has been changing in terms of its contribution in the distribution space. Almost a fourth of the global distribution business is now coming from software, 24%. It used to be 12% 2 years back. And for Redington, it is 15%. So we are nearly $12 billion, 100,000 crore company, and 15% of that, almost $2 billion, comes from software. We just announced our earnings results today for this quarter. It's become 16%. So we are growing at a frenetic pace. This quarter, software part of the business grew at 48% year on year. And what is software here? We're talking about cloud hyperscaler. We're talking about cybersecurity. We're talking about software as a service, AI, professional services. All of that put together is a significant part of the business. What is also changing, which is very interesting for the audience in the room, I'm sure many of you appreciate it. What used to be a distribution mindset is one to many. I'll work with one vendor or brand like Apple, and I'll work with multitude of resellers, partners, and I will take it to many customers. The whole industry is transforming into many to many. When it comes to software and services, you have to put together solutions from many people and integrate them together, and the customer expects that, and that is where we come in, and what role can we play as an orchestrator. So the one-to-one to going to many is a critical part of the ecosystem. So you need platforms, you need marketplaces, you need technical experts, pre-sales solution architects, a whole lot to make this happen. I want to introduce the DOT framework. Since I am in IIT, I thought I'll take a little bit of professorial liberty here in terms of introducing a concept which is a little esoteric, but it's important how it matters. So the DOT framework, it is a framework that has been around for quite some time. It stands for developmental orchestrated triangulation. And this model is used by business people and development people to look at aggregating different concepts and ideas and come up and triangulate to an idea which really can be valid, can be comprehensive and scalable. We are quite inspired by this concept. And when you look at the DOT as a concept, all transformation, everything begins with a dot. The universe did, art did, architecture did, and so does technology. So we have a lot of dots in the technology world, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But the problem is, in the technology world, every dot has so much potential and power. So we work with many different brands, and they are dots, and they bring a lot of innovation. We work with many channel partners. they're trying to figure out how to take that dot and put those dots together for the customer to give a solution. There are ISVs, there are startups, there are managed service providers. So there are many dots, and each one has its own power. And there's a lot of friction. It seems very easy when you talk about distribution. A lot of people think we just move boxes and we are a trader. But actually piecing these solutions together, bring them in a way that there is less friction for the channel partner and the customer, is becoming increasingly complex. And that's the theory of this whole thing about orchestration. So how do we bring all these dots together? The green dot represents us. It's energy, it's balance, it's sustainability, and it's a symbol of growth, harmony, and orchestration. That's Redington. Our logo is also green. The blue dot are all the members of the ICT ecosystem. Innovative brands like Zoho, there are channel partners, there are ISVs, and there are platforms as well. It's a symbol of trust and stability. But to really make this happen, the green dot and the blue dot has to come together. And then that's where orchestration, connection, meaningful connection, not just connecting the dots in an unmeaningful way, just handover works. So increasingly, many software companies we talk to were only going direct. So AWS started its journey direct. Microsoft started its journey direct. The moment they start going distribution, they start seeing the value we can bring to the table in terms of this orchestration. And so that's really critical to understand. In the earlier days, it was thought of as no value for the distributor or the reseller or the middleman to bring the software. Customer understands it and they will execute and implement. So we have to go from this whole concept of distributing, orchestrating, and transforming. I'll just talk about that in a moment, how that works. So in the case of distribution, it's just delivering value. It's a flow of products. Even on software, we have distribution, where there is a purchase order from a customer through a reseller, and I make sure I convert that purchase order to a sales order, ship the goods, make sure it's working, it's activated, etc. Then there is orchestration, because you need an implementation partner. You need some services around it. You might need an agentic model, AI model around it. There may be many things. You need to put two software together for integration and execution. So orchestration becomes the important piece, which is the flow of data. And then finally, the transformation, where it's a flow of intelligence and meaningful connection, but it's the scale that happens. So people want to, when I take a software today, people want to be able to use it. I've had many experiences within Redington. We bought software licenses or subscription models where I didn't have a good enough implementation partner or a good enough change manager within the company to be able to execute and take this to have business outcomes. So the third part is super critical. If you do not engage in that part of the customer journey where the software or service was bought for a particular outcome, and it did not achieve the outcome at scale. And this is a very, very common experience a lot of big companies go through. Let's talk about how the technology industry is transforming, and this is not unfamiliar, but I want to build on the concept. If you look at hardware, it used to be purchased. It is now shifting dramatically. People are buying compute as infrastructure as a service, and they pay based on usage need and based on workloads, etc. So it's clearly moving from hardware to infrastructure as a service. They consume compute and they pay for it. Same with software. It's moving from licensing to a model where it has to achieve business outcomes, where it has to be bought on a subscription model, and you have to get outcomes. If you don't get outcomes, they switch from one subscription model to another. And finally, the most interesting part is agentic AI, and we're beginning to experience it. We are nowhere at scale, and we don't understand this enough. But what this is going to do, this is actually going to create an inverted model. Previously, software was the glue for making a business outcome. But here, intelligence as a service is going to become the primary motto. It's going to drive the software. So service as a software is one thing that's coined by Satya Nadella, but it's really, we can see it happening because the service is going to make the software work. So it's important to understand the role of cloud, the role of software subscription, and the role of agentic AI. All will have a big role. And as an ecosystem, we start with orchestration because we work with these 450 brands and we work with 70,000 channel partners. So we make it easy for the channel partner to understand for the customer which brand to choose, which solution to choose. We act as a role as a friction reducer because we have digital platforms, we have things that are automating the process because all our cloud business goes through a digital platform called Cloud Quarks, and we want to automate more and more. We also want to do renewals, we want to do analytics, we want to create white label. There are many, many aspects of that digital platform that simplifies the piece for the channel partner. We want to drive velocity where the partner is able to monetize. The partner can take whatever we provide and take it and monetize with the customer in terms of converting it into real business and revenues. And finally, the intelligence enabler. The customers are turning data into foresight. So that's kind of a concept, but it's happening in real because in all the markets that we work in, many software companies moved with a lot of cynicism from a direct model to a distribution model. We are actually the leader for hyperscalers for both AWS and Microsoft in India and Middle East, and we won the awards 3 years in a row in terms of what we do, how we execute, etc. It's beginning to happen for many platform software providers, many SaaS providers, and the next we are really jumping into how to orchestrate this with agentic AI. I thought it would be important to just leave a small example. There are many, many multitudes of examples. So this is an example from Saudi. It's a bottling company, and they were stuck with a legacy ERP system where they didn't have enough flexibility and the costs were high as well. And we worked with them, not us alone, but with a few members of the ecosystem to transform all of their operations into a AWS platform, a cloud platform. And you can see some of the results they have been able to achieve. And we led it as a distributor and orchestrator, bringing in AWS and bringing in a bunch of other partners. But clearly, there are many, many, many examples, tens of examples. We have videos and we have these examples, use cases, etc. But I just wanted to share that. I just wanted to leave you with one very simple thing that we are doing, and it's a call to action as well. The next dot I want to talk about is we are getting into AI in a big way, and we are building our own capability center, or I call it the AI lab in Chennai. And we are in the middle of building that, but we will be building copycat of that in Dubai, in Saudi, in Singapore. We also want this to be a prototype where channel partners in the room can actually build similar kinds of, we'll give you the formula for building this. What is the idea? The idea is there will be use cases. We have 75 use cases internally. We are also working with external companies through our cloud business. These use cases will get filtered through this capability center, and we will provide some solution, but we will be surrounding ourselves with startups and ISVs who will be able to provide the complex solutions. And we want to build this whole concept of how do I take a use case and find a solution internally and externally, and prototype this and create 200, 300, 500 so-called MSP franchisees, managed service provider franchises in the AI world. So this is clearly an area, and then we will be putting your solutions on a catalog. We are building an agentic AI catalog. We'll be reaching out to all our channel partners, managed partners who can look at the catalog and pick and choose. So we are definitely putting a lot of effort in terms of how to scale this, the orchestration and the transformation piece, using the brand connects we have, the understanding we have, how to bring this together, AI, etc. Again, I know we're going to have a fireside chat in a moment, but we are very excited to partner with the local ecosystem. We are a born in India company, born in Chennai company. It's headquartered in India. We clearly want to, we're already working with Zoho, but we want to scale that up. We are already beginning to work with IIT Madras. I'm an IIT Madras alum as well, and want to do things in a way that we can. IIT Madras is going global. There's a big startup ecosystem. How can we take advantage of all of that? So clearly there is a plan for us to be rooted, grounded, working with you. And a lot of people in the room, if you want to go global, we have a presence in the Middle East. We have presence in ASEAN. We can take you global as well. So clearly this orchestration transformation piece is very important for us and critical for us. We are at the beginning of the journey. And thanks for listening.
Hari, thank you so much. Okay, we can go ahead and change the furniture. One more time, thank you to Hadi at Reddington. It's interesting, it seems every generation of technology has its own dot. There was originally the dot matrix printer, then it was the dot-com era, now it's sort of the dot paradigm shaping how we see the AI opportunities. Thank you very much for that. We are, as he mentioned, going to bring all of those gentlemen, the 3 CEOs that I'd highlighted before, on stage for a fireside chat. We had told them, look, this is the business you live and breathe every day. You come from very different perspectives, but you have very common goals, right? So this is an opportunity for them to sort of debate, discuss, comment between themselves. I want to respect everyone's time, and I know you're all pressed and very busy, but we may have an opportunity to take some questions for the audience. So we're open for that as well. All you would have to do is simply raise your hand. We'll bring a microphone to you, and you would say your name, company, before you continue with a question or comment. So very quickly, hold your applause until I get everyone seated and everyone on stage. I will do it very quickly by name and company and ask you to take the seat. So one more time, Hariharan VS, Group CEO of Reddington, if you'll take that first position. I want to ask Mr. Sailesh Kumar Davi, CEO of Zoho Corporation, if you would do the honor of joining us in that second position. And rounding it out, I want to ask Natarajan Malupalai, CEO of IITM Research Park, to join us in that third chair. Now, once you gentlemen get settled, the floor will belong to you. Thank you. As we had mentioned in the brief, this is the business you live and breathe every day. There's no PowerPoint presentation, there's no script. If you need any support from me, let me know. If you want to ask any questions from the audience, just indicate that. They will raise their hands. With that, gentlemen, the floor is yours.
All right. Good afternoon. Maybe I will frame up something and I'll ask a question of Shailesh and Nat. So clearly, one of the things that we have done is we started in India with one brand and one country, and then we've scaled to 40 countries, and 50% of our business comes from India and 50% comes from global, outside of India. And I know Shailesh and Zoho has been at it for 26 years, and it's definitely a very inspirational company that inspires everybody who lived or grown up in India in terms of how they have scaled. So wanted to ask him his experience on how they thought about it, and what are their mantra for scaling? What are they doing right or wrong in terms of scaling their business globally?
Thanks, Hari, for the question. Good afternoon, everybody. So I always keep on reminding people that Zoho, it's not one wonder boy suddenly that came up. It took some real good time, 26 to 29 years. And if you were to look at it, like you was asking, what is the mantra? Obviously, if you ask each of our founders, each one will have their own pet theme. I'm a big fan of Herman Hesse. So, when you're in college, I'm also an alum of IITM. So in college, you read all the books and all that. So there is one quote, right? It says, you can wait, you can think, and you can fast. So the wait is to have patience. Think is be intelligent. Fast is if you are the low cost, right? In that book, the fast is about fasting, but in the context of business, it's like being low cost. So, if you look at it, lots of bets that we took, we actually really took a long-term bet. And in 96, 97, when we were just getting started up, one of the common themes was to get into professional services, but we felt that having the IP here, doing some product is the way to go, and that's what the future will be. We knew it will take some time. Especially if you're doing products, it does take time. So that was one thing. And now it's more common. Nowadays, people, when they do startup, they want to innovate, they get into products. But way back in 96, that wasn't the case. And then, the one is the patience and then thinking. So the important point is as a part of, we pivoted. 2-3 times we pivoted, right? So when the global conditions are changing and you get some new input, like 2001 financial crash and 2008, 2001 dot-com burst, 2008 financial crash. So in all those times we pivoted. And again, when the technology changed, like what he was saying, from IaaS to SaaS, we pivoted. So to have the patience to think, and in all these cases, we want to ensure, if somebody has to try you out, right? So then there has to be some reasons. So we ensure that it's very easy for them to try. We use the internet to the maximum hilt. So all these together helped us to grow where we are.
So can I ask a question for Nat? I know you have a whole bunch of startups in IIT, and there are 4 which have already very prominent, and there are many more getting prominent. We have a lot of channel partners in the room, and we talked about AI, what we're trying to do. What is the right way, you think, for India Inc. To really build more scale and commercialization for some of your startups? And of course, I know for you, also Zoho is an inspiration, but what is the way we can all work together to build this at an accelerated pace, not at a slow pace?
Thank you. Welcome to IIT Madras Research Park, everybody. Pleasure to have you here, and the fact that you've chosen this venue to do this flagship event for Gates, so thank you. Listen, I think we are absolutely bullish and excited about the India Inc. story, right? And as we think about startups, the way I would characterize this is, India as a country is in a tearing hurry to become and claim our position in the world, right? Soon will be the 3rd largest economy in the world. And, we are making foray into different sectors that is of importance, software and services being one, but much beyond that into manufacturing and, climate tech technologies, electronics and EV type stuff to semiconductor, quantum. So I think the opportunities are endless. And as I think about what India holds for the world, I think the talent is a given, right? We always had the best of talent. It's a supporting ecosystem that was lacking for many years to, there. But I think in the last few years, it's been a fantastic opportunity where everything is coming together. The policies are favorable. The investment climate is fantastic, both from the government and different schemes that they're talking about. And that allows everybody to now push in the same direction. There is momentum. So I think if you look at our research park story, IIT Madras ecosystem startups, we bring in really early stage startups across sectors. And the trick is to give life to the fantastic research that happens in the campus and say, rather than sit in the labs and the patents that are granted, how could you give it life? How could you now, a thesis project or a postdoc project, how can we bring it to Research Park and bring it into the realm of translational research that then sees the light of the day? And our industry partners are a huge help in that development. I think we have really the big guns, be it the St. Gobins of the world or Pfizer or Caterpillar, Tata Steel, several such companies across sectors who have actually made this their home for global R&D. And that has actually catalyzed this relationship between the faculty, postdocs to industry and saying, how do you work? Because I think at the crux of it, they're very different kind of personalities, right? In academia, you enjoy the idea of research and creativity, not always focused towards a specific outcomes in short term, if you will, right? And industry operates a different way. You're looking after quarter profits. And our role is to marry them and say, how could they both coexist? So as we think about, the different companies, my biggest ask is to, one, invest more in R&D, right? We talk about this. India has got only, 0.7% of a GDP in R&D expenses, and a lot of it from the government. And how do we do more of it? Our role is to make that transition easier by making it easy for people to co-locate with us, providing shared lab facilities. So the cost of doing R&D we want to reduce, right? By doing some of these things. And how do you leverage an IP that's already created and take it to markets? That's the role that we play. So the ask of the industry is, one, reach out to us. We'll help you, become more tailored in terms of the R&D that suits you. Our team here does a fabulous job of navigating the academic ecosystem. It's not always easy. I think they figured out the mind map that makes it easy to navigate based on what your problem statements are. What are you trying to crack in AI? Is it about understanding the customer 360? Is it about using agentic AI to compress your business process, reduce your cost of doing business? So there are several startups that do parts of it, not always focused on universal industry, but very specific industry. But a lot of these are transferable to other industries. So I think as you reach out to us, you'll see, one, you have a problem statement that we can then work with a few professors and solve for you. Either you can come and set up your center, or there are other ways of engaging as well. But more importantly, the startups, and they are the really the blue-eyed boy of the research park, if you will, or the entire ecosystem, there is increasing wave of entrepreneurship happening, right? Back in the day, when we look at numbers, when I think we're about the same age, let's say, about 60-70% of the class used to go abroad for higher studies. The number is close to 10% now. A lot of them choose to stay back, either work for companies or actually create their own startups, which is a very positive and welcome sign. So there are a lot of really good talent now. It's being repurposed to solve our problems, build in India, build for India, and possibly take it global after that. So I think the possibilities are endless. And I would say, one, internally from industry, keep asking the questions about problem solving. How could you innovate? How could you do more R&D? And reach out to us where we could help you, right? We are always looking for problem statements and how could we make it a better product nation as far as India is concerned. And I think together we can do that. And we have industries, we have startups, we have the broader ecosystem even beyond the research park to help us, right, in terms of policies and investments. So I think that's probably the first place to start, how we can help.
I'm just going to throw a wild idea since you're talking about this. Do you think IIT Madras can create a program management box? So if I throw over a problem, you just say which startup you're going to give to, and they can come back with a proposal and a solution, and if it looks good, then it gets the money, and then it goes forward. Is that a possible method?
Absolutely. So this was something that I placed in the last board meeting to say we should do that. Not just startups, but program management, even helping industries, right? In some ways, think of it as McKinsey Consulting for R&D, if you will, right? I mean, how could we have a program management team here? Because currently our model is based on co-location here. Proximity is huge, being able to have access to professors, but location has its limitations. You can only grow so much. So if we want this idea to be truly scalable, to take it to the hinterland, the tier 2, tier 3 cities, we want a model where there is a satellite opportunity where they can reach out to us and we can still help navigate, and you still bring in your problem statements that are sector-wise, and we have an understanding of the patents that are lying idle that somebody wants to take up and run with it, be it industries or startups. So I think the answer is a big yes, big bold yes, and that will cover both industries and startups.
Can I go on? Okay. I'm going to become the moderator now. One other wild question I had for Shailesh. I know Zoho is a very interesting and inspirational platform. Having said that, you have a lot of competitors that come from the West and who have more muscle, more marketing, and more reach, even when it comes to India. So if we want to scale up based on all the fantastic products and the product lineup you have, clearly you need more muscle and more marketing, and even within India, we need to find a way, not just government, but even for private sector to get a greater reach. Any thoughts about how you'll go about it and how a distribution company like ours can help? Because clearly we have some muscle, not all the muscle, but we have some muscle in terms of reach, and we play into a large number of customer accounts and large number of through resellers, and how to bring an Indian brand global in the same size as any other US brand or Europe brand.
So I'll kind of break the question into two parts. So on the first part, right, so like nowadays any market you take, there is always some competition. As they say, competition validates the market. If you're the only person, then you need to be worried whether you're working on the right problem. So actually before that there is one there is a pre-answer to it. See, there are some problems which people are aware that they can, people are aware of the problem, but they are not trying to solve it because it may not be profitable to the extent that they want. So there will always be problems that are specific, but that's small enough where the big guys are not interested. Okay? So that is, in one sense, it's a moat. So you will have to find out whether there are problems around you where the big guys, everybody is aware, but they are not interested because it doesn't give them the same profit margins or whatever productivity as what they are used to now. So this is that usual innovator's dilemma, or innovator's dilemma and stuff like that, or innovator's solution. So if you kind of look at it, there are some problems which you can take and work, and that problem by itself is a moat because other guys will not enter. And the second thing is, you don't have to address the full total addressable market to be profitable. So we always believed that we actually have a short term inside the office, we call it OPAM, organically, profitably addressable market. So what that means is there are some markets where if you want to address, you will have to spend more than what you will get from the market. And there are some markets where you can address it organically. So what that would mean in the context of software when we started. So self-service. So there are two kinds of market, right? One is where people are willing to do self-service. Second is where you'll have to go and do some hand-holding. So if people are willing to do self-service, that means there will be these early adopters who will come to your website, try it out, and then they'll also be giving you solutions. This is typically that crossing the chasm. If you read the book, you will see that part. So those markets are easy to address. So maybe you have to do that first to make your product good, right? And then you go to the second one, that's where all the distributors, partners, resellers come in. Because once you kind of leave the small and medium space and go to medium and large, you will surely need somebody who understands the customer better. Whatever product or solution you have will not match the requirements of the customer 100%. So somebody will have to be there who understands what problem the customer is solving, take the product that you have done as a provider, customize it, and then give it to the customer. And for that to scale, right, we can't be, as a R&D place or as a software provider, you cannot be in all the hardware provider, whatever, you cannot be in all the places. So that's where this whole distribution comes in. But having said that, as a startup, the most important thing is, at least for the first 2-3 years of your life, you need to do things that don't scale. So what does the word don't scale mean? So don't scale means you go and sit with the customer. You go and talk to the first 100 customers. You find out what problem, because whatever we do sitting and thinking in the labs or in the workplace is not, we may be 80% right. Okay, if you're only 20% right, then you have to change the problem. But if you're 80% right, then the last 20% only if you talk to the customer you will know. So I would say that for the first 100 customers, you do things that are not scalable. That would mean you go and sit there, you go and see how the customer is using and all that. And then once you are confident that it has met the requirements, then you move on to the second stage.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience?
One more time, if you would identify yourself by name and company before the question.
Hi everyone. I'm Balkrishna Pangam, Orient Pro Payments. So you mentioned about this opportunity where a problem is given to the IIT Madras, group or startup, and they are then working with the industry. Can you take it internationally? For example, if there is this opportunity in ASEAN market, Singapore, for example, would you be open to taking those problem statements and working with them and actually truly providing a larger, solution to the global or regional industry?
Thank you. I can answer that question on his behalf. We'll be happy to do that. So we have presence in ASEAN. So we have a Singapore office as well. And we'll be more than happy to partner with IIT Madras and actually get that done if that will work for you. I don't know if you want to add.
Yeah. So I think, yes, the answer is, see, the reason we exist is to take the most difficult problems and, solve it, right? We are a not-for-profit, right? Our intent and passion is to, leverage our talent to solve really difficult to solve problems. And we also are India first, as in terms of, focus is, we want to create impact. We want to help with India's economic goals, development agenda. We want our, when I transitioned from corporate, I came to India to run Flextronics and contract manufacturing. One of the transitions I made was, we have brilliant talent in India that's solving a Western man's problem. And I know some of you are multinational companies, but I will unashamedly say that. I think we have best of a talent to solve our problem, is one of the things that we do. If we solve our problem, given the scale that we have, given the diversity that we have in India, you will most likely address global problems as well, right? And that's kind of why it's beautiful. So, I think the short answer is yes. I think we would love to see what your problems are and how could we put together a product that addresses it. And we are confident that this will go global. So, yes.
So, sorry, just to add a point to what Nat was saying, I always consider the India market to be the tuition market. It teaches you well. And so you pay the tuition fee for it, and then you take it abroad.
Namaskar, good afternoon. My name is Dr. Somnath Mitra. I am the CEO for Center for Research Commercialization at IIT Gandhinagar. That's a little bit about myself. Question for our friend Sailesh from Zoho. You know, Zoho is great in software products and software products and services. Any thoughts of Zoho, you know, pivoting towards semiconductor manufacturing, semiconductor or deep tech mechatronics related products and services? I would be happy to note if you have future plans on these lines.
Yeah, so I'll keep it short because it's not relevant to the topic. Yeah, so we do a lot of investments in some of these companies that are working in the hardware. Some like we now invest in a company called Netra Semi, which is a Kerala-based company. And then we have V-Titan, which is a medical device company. Then we have Boson Motors, which is an EV truck company. And we ourselves, like Zoho, within the Zoho company itself, whatever is there in the data center, we would want to kind of have a lot more hold on it. So we have our own storage boxes that's coming up. We'll be launching it soon. I mean, storage boxes that you see in the storage servers, right? And high compute boxes. So these are all some of the forays that we are doing into hardware ourselves. But that's more from ensuring that there is a lot of mechanical sympathy between the software and the hardware, and from more from a purview of controlling the full stack so that we can be more efficient to the customer. So that apart, we do invest in some of these hardware companies like medical devices, semiconductors and all that, and not that Zoho is involved in it directly. It's more from an overall building the ecosystem perspective.
We had one question in the back of the room, but I asked her to step forward so you could actually see her when she spoke. It's a big room. Again, name and company, if you would, please.
Hi, so this is Meenu from Gates, Executive Editor. So we all have been listening about the pivot here. You know, you all three mentioned about that. So do you build a safety net, or you fail fast, or you learn as you go? What would be your advice?
So, okay, a lot of times, see this safety net, like, I mean, they may not exist, right? It's like you're jumping and suddenly you see that the market has shifted. So there isn't a safety net. Like in 2000, like just to give an example from our growth, like in 2001, we were selling to a set of customers and that whole customer vanished because there was a dot-com burst, and whomsoever we were selling to, all of them like just vanished overnight. And all of them were VC funded. So in one sense, they were buying from us with that money, and suddenly the whole thing vanished. So there is no safety net at that time. So then you kind of pivot to something. But because we weren't venture funded, one thing we did was live within the means. So we would always keep a portion of our revenue separately for the future. And we always say that for every 3 years of operation, you need to sustain yourself for at least 1 year, right? That is, even if the whole world breaks loose and there is zero revenue, you should be able to at least sustain for 1 year. So that, and I think over 18 months, the economic cycles change, so you will get lucky. So I don't know whether you can really plan for a safety net. If you see the market is changing, again, then somebody will ask, like you said, be patient. Then suddenly you're saying market is changing. So these are all the product management decisions, right? So obviously, when you're doing a startup, you will see a lot of signals. Then there is noise. You need to know which one you are latching on to. Now, whether you need to be patient or whether you need to pivot. So that's like a meta question. So that you'll have to answer and do it.
I'm conscious of time, but before we do sort of final comments or final thoughts, time for one more question, if you would. Name and company.
Thank you so much. My name is Shilpa. I'm from arcons.com. So my quick question to Mr. Hariharan from Reddington. There are a lot of startups in IIT Research Park, and everybody is building something. So wanted to have your thoughts on how would you think of distribution for a startup globally?
Yeah, so this is exactly what we're working on. See, in this whole AI world, what we are seeing now is there is a lot of experimentation that goes on. Things are moving very rapidly. We don't know which experiments will work, which experiments won't work. That is one of the reasons, in fact, one of my colleagues, Deepak, is here, and he's creating an AI capability center for us in Chennai. It's going to be a small team of 8 to 10 people. We're going to surround ourselves by ISVs, startups, academia, and we actually are very interested to work with IIT Madras because it's right next door. And any use cases that come into this team, as I mentioned, we have 75 use cases already within the company where we have 25 POCs going on, and we have about 3 or 4 commercializing. We have similarly use cases from the external world because our cloud team works with a lot of resellers and customers. We want to be able to take these use cases and say, you'll need different approaches, right? Some you can do it with a commoditized tool. Some you will need a semi-custom approach. Some you'll need a fully custom bespoke solution. And we want to be able to, that's the reason why I asked Nat the question, if you have a program management box where you make it easy for me, I throw a use case to you and say, hey, any of your startups can give a proposal on this. Based on the strength of the proposal, we'll go back, and we're actually planning to do this. Now, that's first part of the question that I answered. We have business in UAE, in Saudi, in Africa, in Turkey, and ASEAN. We're planning to create similar centers after we do this. We'll be creating this in the next 2-3 months. The work has started. And we'll be replicating these centers. We're also creating an agentic catalog that I mentioned. If it's more focused on AI. So we're going to do 2 things. One, we can actually take some of these startups to other locations based on use cases coming from there and say, hey, this will be a community of startups. So whenever we get use cases we cannot solve, we throw it over to this community and they can solve. We can also, if there's a very good product developed that's already commercialized and in the process of scaling, we can put it into our agentic catalog, make it available to all our partners, and there are some considerations in terms of how you get into the catalog, how viable is the solution, is there a self-running video. There'll be some standard product marketing stuff because we are a listed company, we are liable as well, all the connections we make. Now, some of this will go on a marketplace that we are working on. So we're going to have a digital marketplace. Today we connect in a manual way, but we're going to have a digital marketplace with recommendation algorithms and those kinds of things. So there are many, many ways. Actually, this can be scalable in a big way. But one of the things that you need to be cognizant is we are a big ocean liner. Right? I can turn 1 degree, I have to take a lot of effort to turn 1 degree. So the more you can kind of get flexible, I think sky is the limit in terms of what we are thinking and where this industry and the business will head when it comes to working with startups. But it will not be easy unless we get into a really good understanding of how we can make this easy for both of us.
Thank you. We're running short on time. I know you have meetings and calls. I just wanted to give you each 30 seconds to 1 minute in sort of a rapid-fire way to tell us, what's top of your mind. What is the one big message you want to leave with the channel partners and the larger audience here at Gates about India at full throttle, this opportunity we have in front of us in the next months, years to come?
Yeah, no, I think I go back to India first. I think we have an amazing opportunity being that, having the demographic dividend, but that window will quickly close on us. I think it's important that all of us put on our hat of problem solvers regardless of which company that we work for, what we do. I think it's important to come together to be part of this movement, to create, first principles thinking, think about India as a product nation. How could we bring in all of our expertise that we've accumulated over the years in several companies that you work for to create products that are brand India, right? That's so important. And I'll welcome you to come to Research Park, Incubation Cell. Think about what inspires you. How could you partner? How could you be our resellers or distributors for companies even beyond ICT? There are brilliant products that we do across sectors. Either you can mentor some of them, you could directly engage with them. There are several opportunities to be part of this India 2047 Viksit Bharat story. So come, be part of it, and let's grow together.
So I'll make a statement that will wake you up or something. Pre-2017, India was a lousy market. Okay, something changed in 2017 and 18, and we could relate it to in our own business. So from India being above 10, if you rank the countries by revenue, India would be like beyond 10. It suddenly became second and third across the world, right? So something changed in 17, 18. So what the message to startups would be is, so now India is a great market. and we are seeing a lot of growth, and so we are focused on that. So the good thing is when you have the customer nearby, it is easy to go and trial and show and do stuff like that. And as Nat was mentioning, and we also get the benefit of diversity within some every, whatever, 200 kilometers or 300 kilometers. So we have to use this both. The fact that the customers are closer, and the fact that density of customers are high in India, given our population, and the fact that we have this diversity, we use it to the hilt so that we can then go and address the world's problem.
I mentioned earlier that we are in 40 plus countries, and India is the fastest growing market for us. Even this quarter, we grew 23% year on year. We are nearly 15,000 crores business in India this quarter. Clearly, it's a very hot market. And I like what Shailesh mentioned a little earlier, that it's a good tuition ground. What we have seen when it comes to solutions and services, you tend to get less prices and less margins in the India market. But if you get the tuition right and you get the right solutions done here, going global, you can just get scale, because the expectation scales when you go to a Middle East or when you go to Singapore in terms of products, quality, how you get supported, the look and feel, UI, UX, everything. So it's really important from a startup perspective that you prove the concept, get enough commercialization in India, and then scale comes naturally. There are enough and more marketplaces and enough and more platforms and reach to go global now. Thank you.
And that's the final word. Gentlemen, I want to thank you one more time for sharing your experience, your insight with us. If I can hold you just for one more minute, we want to do a photo together. For everyone else, that is the conclusion of the conference this morning. We're going to make our way now for lunch, the one-on-one meetings. We have a series of workshops that are going to be taking place in the, what do we call it, the amphitheater, one level up above. And then tonight we meet one more time for the gala dinner. So again, any questions, anything we can help facilitate in terms of meetings, don't hesitate to reach out to the welcome desk. One more time, a big thanks to our CEO roundtable. Ashish, if you would join me on stage, we'll do photos real quick before we release you. Here for the picture. So we're perfectly aligned, right, Ashish? Yeah. If we can just do a simple photo first. Yeah. Yeah, the photo if you would please. Just an extra recognition that Ashish wanted to share. This is India after all. It's full throttle, but also full color. Right. All colors are good. Chennai Super Kings. I was going to say that. That matches with yours. You know, we planned this all well. Just want to take one more photo together. Thank you so much for joining us. Really cool. Okay, one more time. Could I request you guys to join us for lunch if you have time? We have a quick lunch at the IITM and Film Center. No, I need to go for this. I have a meeting as well, so thank you for the offer. Thank you. I know there's urgency all around. Yeah, I'm mindful of it. Okay. All right. I'll let you make your exit. Really a pleasure to meet you. Thank you. Nice to meet you.